It's a work of fine art. A gorgeous looking trophy. The symbol of victory. And one of the sport's most coveted prizes. Il Trofeo Senza Fine, the never-ending trophy, awaits its new owner. Welcome to the 2019 Giro d'Italia, the toughest race in the world's most beautiful place. This 102nd edition of the Corsa Rossa rolls out of Bologna with a short uphill time trial and will end 3 weeks later with another race against the clock into Verona, in between the magic and the glory of the Giro. 176 riders will race across the 3,578 kilometre long route with 40 categorised climbs and a very demanding final week in the Dolomites. As usual, the Giro has attracted some of the biggest names in the sport. Italian legend Vincenzo Nibali is one of the main favourites and looked on form at the recent Tour of the Alps. Primož Roglic has impressed so far this season, winning the UAE Tour and Tirreno Adriatico. 2017 Giro winner and last year's runner-up Tom Dumoulin also is in search of everlasting glory. Movistar's hopes lie in the hands of Spain's Mikel Landa, but the 29-year-old's recent seasons have been marred by injury. Meanwhile, the rebranded Team Ineos squad was forced to reconsider its options after rising star Egan Bernal broke his collarbone in training. Would Simon Yates be able to handle the pressure for 3 full weeks of unpredictable racing this time round? And could Astana's Miguel Angel Lopez, third in 2018, reach a higher step on the podium? The Giro will also boast an elite field of sprinters. Italian champion Elia Viviani is one of the fastest men of his generation. His main threat, his former teammate Fernando Gaviria. And both will face fierce competition from Lotto Soudal's Caleb Ewan. Everything is set up for La Corsa Rossa. So, the opening 8-kilometre time trial, the climb up to the sanctuary of San Luca with a final 2 kilometres at 9.7%, a real test for the overall contenders. Any time losses here will create doubts in the riders' minds. Most of the GC contenders headed out early to avoid potential thunderstorms. And as a result, Dutchman Tom Dumoulin was the first off the ramp.
There's 15 seconds from the start. Tom Dumoulin.
And his effort looked a solid one. The other main favourite, Vincenzo Nibali, followed shortly after. Dumoulin set the benchmark with 13 minutes and 22 seconds. Astana captain Miguel Angel Lopez was also on course. But the crowd was obviously cheering for its national hero. Meanwhile, a surprising Lopez bested Dumoulin's time by a fraction of a second. Primož Roglic looked superb on his bike. The Italian became the new provisional leader, but the Slovenian was flying on the climb. There was disappointment for Mikel Landa. Roglic beat Nibali's time by an amazing 23 seconds. Simon Yates was the last of the main GC riders on the ramp, having opted for a very late start. The British rider started the climb with an 18-second deficit to Roglic. Would he be able to beat the Slovenian's time? 30 seconds to the line now to challenge for stage honours and to take the first Maglia Rosa of Giro d'Italia, out of the saddle. One final push for glory for Simon Yates. He's inside 20 seconds to go to get there. I don't think he's going to quite get there, but it's going to be a really, really impressive climb from Simon Yates. This one could even challenge for the best climb of the day. Could be in the climber's jersey, who knows? He's not going to take stage honours. It's going to be victory for Primoz Roglic and the first big jersey of the race, but Simon Yates now trying to make sure he holds off Vincenzo Nibali for second through the final turn, through and onto the line. It's going to be second place on the day for Simon Yates as he thrashes his legs at the line. It is indeed second place for Simon Yates. So the hot favourite for the opening time trial did not disappoint. Notably, the Slovenian was the only rider to break the 13-minute barrier. The general classification obviously mirrored the stage result. The big loser on the day was Mikel Landa, outside the top 10. Miguel Angel Lopez started where he left off last year, taking the first young rider's jersey. Giulio Ciccone won the King of the Mountains jersey, having set the fastest time on the finishing climb. Primoz Roglic took the first Maglia Rosa of the 102nd Giro, his devastating performance clearly showing that he was the man to beat. Day 2. For the first road stage, the peloton headed south. 205 kilometres from Bologna to Fucecchio. A rolling profile across the Apennines. The two categorised climbs along the way should not prove too much of a challenge for the fast men eager to shine. The last 20 kilometres was entirely flat. The peloton was greeted with rain at the start. An 8-man breakaway formed early. They were led by Giulio Ciccone in search of King of the Mountains points. The peloton was in control mode. The Trek Segafredo rider duly conquered both categorised climbs to extend his lead in the blue jersey competition. But the escapees were doomed when the sprinters' trains began to chase hard. Everything was set for the expected fast finale. So Groupama FDJ have numbers on the front. Bora Hansgrohe still sustaining the effort to stay on the front. What an effort from them. What an effort too, and a sort of source of frustration for the Androni Giocattoli squad. Belletti, their sprinter, former stage winner in this event, has hit mechanical issues, won't contend. Androni Giocattoli hit problems, might switch to Gavazzi if he has the legs. Bora Hansgrohe still on the front.
Yep, Hansgrohe there, and Sabatini just looks over his shoulder on the right-hand side, the quick-step rider.
Israel Cycling Academy starting to move up in those light jerseys, light blue jerseys as well, blue and white jerseys for Davide. Chimolai, Christian Sbaragli as well, also a fast finisher and final lead-out man for them. The Lotto Soudal squad on the right-hand side with the big track man, Roger Kluge, on the front.
Yep, they have control at the moment, and the left-hand side pretty much looks like the place to be at the moment as they switch to the right to negotiate this left-hand bend.
First left-hander followed in quick succession by another left-hander that will take them under the kite, and then it's a straight road all the way to join us at the finish line in Fucecchio this afternoon. 1,000 metres remaining for Bora Hansgrohe. They've controlled so much, and he wants the motorbike to head on. They're down. Was it one of the Groupama FDJ riders has gone down? Luckily, I think not too many riders going down with them, so it's going to be a straight sprint. Ackerman handily placed now, trying to pick up the lead-out train of Sabatini, who's looking after the interests of Viviani. Viviani is picking up from Ackerman. It's Lotto Soudal that are going to take it up on the front. Lotto Soudal for Caleb Ewan, as UAE are there for Fernando Gaviria as well. And the Deceuninck Quick-Step squad trying to get it organised. The Blue Hordes waiting for Elia Viviani. Peeling off the front, it's Lotto Soudal that are going to launch, but UAE come for Gaviria. Gaviria picks up the slight frame of Caleb Ewan. Ewan goes first. Gaviria coming. Here comes Ackerman. Ackerman to the line. The German champion's got to get it. Pascal Ackerman gets stage 1. Stage 2, the first road stage of Giro d'Italia 2019. The drag race is a productive one, and after a huge lead-out performance by all of the Bora Hansgrohe squad, they have delivered their sprinter, and he has delivered in perfect fashion. Coming off the wheel of Caleb Ewan, it's Pascal Ackerman that gets victory on stage 2 of Giro d'Italia. An emotional win for Pascal Ackerman. The German national champion struck on his Grand Tour debut, beating an elite field of sprinters.
I'm just being so happy. It was my first chance to win a stage, and we did it straight, and I think now all the team is more and more motivated, and it's good for the next 3 weeks.
A great display of strength from the Bora sprinter, who also took the cyclamen jersey following his win. No change in the other jersey competitions. Primož Roglič retained his 19-second overall lead in the chase for the Maglia Rosa. Stage 3 of La Corsa Rosa, a race like no other. 220 kilometres from Vinci to Orbitello, a long day in the saddle and another hilly route likely to end in a bunch sprint. The only challenge of the day, the small categorised climb with 40 kilometres to the finish. The only difference to the previous stage, the number of riders in the breakaway group. A long and brave solo effort from Nippo Vinifantine's Sho Hatsuyama. The peloton enjoyed an easy start to the day, the Maglia Rosa safely in the bunch, and a very relaxed atmosphere. Hatsuyama dug deep, but despite the effort, he was inevitably reeled in with still 75 kilometres to go. Giulio Ciccone won the uncontested King of the Mountains, adding 3 points to his tally. A late crash in the middle of the bunch involved most of the Team Ineos riders. Meanwhile, the sprinters' trains were dashing to the finish line. They're nestling in the outer reaches of the top 30 riders as both of those riders look at each other and wait and wait and wait. The EF Education first team have Sasha Modolo close to the front, waiting to launch his bid.
Well, they're turning in towards a headwind now, and this is where it's going to be really difficult for the riders on the front, and those riders just a little bit further back do have the opportunity to have just a little bit more protection from that wind.
Well, that was a big split caused by that crash, and more riders are starting to feel the pinch a little bit as the UAE squad go to the front. Fernando Gaviria's nestling further back in the wheels. He's got his riders on the front to set the tempo to try and keep this as difficult as possible, but Gaviria has Consoni to pick him up, as I think that could well be Kuznetsov for the Katusha squad that is also kind of surf things through to the finish. 1.3 kilometres left. We're heading towards the kite. Still a long way to go. This Bob Jungels hits the front. What a lead out man. What an amazing amount of watts he's got for the Deceuninck Quick-Step squad, for the Elia Viviani, the Italian champion.
Well, the wind is now directly in their face, and it's Bob Jungels who takes it up, as you say. Ackerman, Viviani. Viviani looks to have things in control. He's got teammates with him, and more importantly, he's got Sabatini, his faithful lead-out man, directly in front of him.
Inside the final 700 metres, Bob Jungels has done a big shift for Deceuninck Quick-Step. Now it's Groupama FDJ. Third man in line is Arnaud Demar. The Bora Hansgrohe squad have managed to bring Rudiger Selig is ready to launch. Pascal Ackerman bidding for a second successive stage win. The Dimension Data squad have got 3 riders in there, and they've got Nizzolo to go for glory. They make the hard left turn. They own it. It is a nasty little one. Then they go right. This is going to stretch it then. Pascal Ackerman in prime position. He's ready to pick up from the wheel of Arnaud Demar. Elia Viviani finds himself in about 7th, 8th position. Chibolai is thereabouts as well. Selig launches. to try and put Ackerman into perfect and prime position. Viviani has managed to move up. Viviani picks up the wheel of Pascal Ackerman. Ackerman goes for glory. Tamar's going to try and pick up off the other wheels, but it's Ackerman with Viviani coming. Viviani going for glory. Viviani and Tamar. Viviani to the line. Viviani gets it. The Italian champion has won stage 3 of Giro d'Italia. Elia Viviani of Deceuninck Quick-Step timed his run to absolute perfection. He knew he'd need teammates. He got the assistance, he got the help, and he produced the perfect sprint to take glory on stage 3 of Giro d'Italia. But the joy was short-lived for Elia Viviani. The Italian was relegated for an irregular sprint, having moved into the path of Trek Segafredo's Matteo Moschetti. Fernando Gaviria was awarded the victory, a bittersweet one for him, and he did little to conceal his dissatisfaction.
The winner of the stage is Elia Viviani. He's a really good guy, really strong sprinter, and this part of the career is really incredible because Elia always tried to do everything good, training good, food good, and also in the road he's really correct. And then I'm disappointed for Elia because he's really good friend than me, and he's the winner of the third stage in the Giro.
Thank you. This was the revised stage result. Fernando Gaviria ahead of Damar and Ackerman. The UAE rider also the new owner of the cyclamen jersey, while Roglic remained the overall leader. A day of late drama at the Giro, and a day to forget for the Italian champion Elia Viviani. Day 4 and fascinating Frascati awaited the riders. A very long day in the saddle, 235 kilometres starting in Orbitello. Only a single modest categorised climb, but plenty of short and steep drags along the way with an uphill finish. Certainly not an easy day for the sprinters. The sun finally showed up at the sign-on. Damiano Cima, Marco Frapporti and Mirko Maestri attacked from the start, enjoying early freedom. The trio up front worked well together, but were unlikely to stay away. And almost inevitably they were caught when the peloton moved through the gears. With 6 kilometres to the finish line, disaster struck. A big crash fractured the peloton. A small and select group took advantage, leaving most of the main general classification riders, apart from the pink jersey, behind. Tom Dumoulin hit the deck hard. Let's join the action with 2 kilometres left in this dramatic finale. Elia Viviani in prime position, just in front of him. The Team UAE squad is Ulisi among them, perhaps. Arnaud Demar sitting second in line. Time for an attack, trying to make it really hurt for the sprinters, and this is an opportunity for Team UAE. They've lost Gaviria, remember, but could be prime opportunity for the UAE Team Emirates. I think they might have, is it Conti among their number 3rd in line? Ulisi, of course, is their GC rider. Putting the hurt on some of the others and stomping on the pedals. Primož Roglic likes the look of this one. Here you have the
Carapaz for Movistar. Oh, Viviani has gone, so he is out of it. His legs have dropped off.
No luck for Deceuninck Quick-Step. They still have a rider or two in amongst them. And going for the line, 1,400 metres left as the climbers try to put it up to the others. Primož Roglic still surfing the wheels, potentially to glory this afternoon. Florian Seneschal there for the Deceuninck Quick-Step squad. Well, he's out of it. It's not going to happen for the Maglia Ciclamina today. Not going to be 2 stage wins in a row. Caleb Ewan perfectly primed on the tail of the man in the leader's jersey. Caleb Ewan is the sprint star here.
The 3 sprinters on the back, Caleb Ewan, Ackerman.
And Arnaud Demar at the back of that number, following in the wheel of the GC contenders, trying to make the most of this. Seneschal there for Tay Koenig, quick step. And Arnaud Demar is having to turn himself inside out. Has Caleb Ewan been? No, he's still there. They've lost their last lead-out man for the Lotto Soudal squad. The UAE squad still with work to do to try and make the most of this. I think that could be Conti, who's sitting second in line of the riders for the UAE Team Emirates. 700 metres remaining. It's all about timing this one. It is a 7% winch up this final run to the line. The crowds crane their necks as we make the hard right turn. 600 metres remaining. Demar's turning himself inside out to stay there. Ackerman's in bits as well. What's he got left for a sprint? As Roglic as well in the pink jersey, fourth from the back. The overall race leader with an opportunity to take some bonus seconds to go with the other time that's going to be gained. And are they coming up from behind? Simon Yates in the chase group. Yates trying to close down and make the most, or limit the damage that's being done. Going for the line.
Is that Rojas?
I think it could be JJ Rojas, or is it? It's not Landa, is it? I don't think. Going for the line for the Movistar team. Surely nothing's going to stop him now. Roglic looks to time his effort. Caleb Ewan knows he can leave nothing back. Ewan tries to close it down. Caleb Ewan goes for glory, but will he get there in time? It's going to be a tight one as he goes to the line to try and hold them off. And he's closing. I think he's going to get there. Caleb Ewan is not quite going to make it. Caleb Ewan, and what about that? Glorious success for Carapaz.
It was Carapaz. It came up as Carapaz. Looked like Rojas, to be fair, from the face, but Carapaz takes the victory.
So, an unexpected win for Carapaz on a difficult finish for the Ecuadorian. And a near fatal blow for Dumoulin's GC hopes. The Dutchman lost 4 minutes. The final stage result, Carapaz ahead of Caleb Ewan, Diego Ulissi and Pascal Ackerman, the German back into the cyclamen jersey. Carapaz also gained time courtesy of the 10 seconds finish bonus. So, a big shake-up in GC on stage 4. Primož Roglic added an extra 16 seconds to his advantage over Yates and Nibali, while Tom Dumoulin was now 56th overall. Ultimately, a very profitable day for our race leader. Stage 5, and yet again, it's a wet race. 140 kilometres from Frascati to Terracina, 2 unclassified climbs just after the start, followed by a hilly route. The last 40 kilometres were pan-flat, and the race ended with a 9.2 kilometre circuit. It was another chance for the fast men to shine. And it was the last day at the Giro for Tom Dumoulin, the Dutchman forced to abandon following his crash the previous day. Miguel Flores, Umberto Orsini, Louis Vervac, Ivan Santaromita and Enrico Barbin formed the breakaway group. The torrential rain tormented the riders, with the peloton focusing on surviving on the slick roads. Louis Vervac crested the only king of the mountains of the day and pushed on in a desperate solo attempt. But it was destined to be in vain. And with the general classification times taken on the first passage of the final circuit, it was time for the sprinters teams to take full control of the race. Inside 2 kilometres now, the anticipated bunch sprint is coming up, and now this is the final turn to be negotiated. Relatively simple as the lead-out men start to drop away. Their effort is done. Their contribution has been made. We're down to the final mile as the Lotto Soudal team try to get control and maintain control near the front. So too the Bora Hansgrohe squad. They've got riders. They've got Roger Kluge to drop off Pascal Ackerman. 1,400 metres left.
Yep, Roger Kluge, he is there, and he has got Caleb Ewan in the wheel. Ackerman is there with one rider in front of him.
Well, the CCC team have got Jakub Mareczko somewhere back there hoping to try and find the right wheel. They put a teammate on the front to wind it up as we head under the kite. Less than or just a little bit over 1,000 metres remaining in the Giro d'Italia Stage 5. This is coming down to a sprint. Can Mareczko come up with it? Well, Bora Hansgrohe are going to present Pascal Ackerman into the ideal position. The Groupama FDJ squad try to stomp on the pedals and bring Arnaud Demar into the perfect and prime situation. He's got two teammates in front of him inside the final 800 metres. The blue of De Koning Quick-Step. Two riders for Elia Viviani. He's waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting. 700 metres left. Pascal Ackerman is going to try and come through and off the wheel of the De Koning Quick-Step train, but he's got a few riders to make up, a few positions to make up as Lotto Soudal try to come with a late show in the red for Lotto Soudal and for Caleb Ewan. It's De Koning Quick-Step though that are going to own it, and it's Sabatini who's ready to launch very shortly for his man Viviani. Has he lost the wheel? Is he elected to pick up Ackerman? Ackerman now with Caleb Ewan ready to come over. It's Caleb Ewan that's going for glory. Ewan finds a way around. Caleb Ewan going for glory.
Gaviria it is. Gaviria
it's Gaviria for the UAE squad with Pascal Ackerman. Gaviria with Ackerman. Ackerman is not going to be denied. Pascal Ackerman gets the victory on stage 5, and he timed that to absolute perfection. Fernando Gaviria looked like he had come out of the gloom and was gone for glory, but Pascal Ackerman is in its stunning and imperious form, and the German national champion extends his points advantage and more particularly takes a second career Giro d'Italia victory. It's Pascal Ackerman that's the winner on stage 5. This is how it ended in Terracina. Pascal Ackerman produced another perfectly executed sprint, cementing his status as the fastest man so far. Fernando Gaviria and Arnaud Demar had to settle for second and third respectively. Meanwhile, Elia Viviani stalled and struggled to accelerate. Another difficult day for the Italian sprinter. So no change in any of the Jersey competitions. Prosecco time for Pascal Ackerman once again. Stage 6, a very long day of racing. 238 kilometres from Cassino to San Giovanni Rotondo and plenty of small climbs along the way. A Category 2 climb within the last 20 kilometres before the final ascent to the finish. Surely a day for the opportunists to succeed. There was drama at the start for the pink jersey who took a tumble, luckily without major consequence. Our usual large breakaway group made it to the front. The main danger for Primož Roglic was Valerio Conti, just under 2 minutes down. But Roglic and his team Jumbo-Visma squad were not eager to defend the pink jersey and allowed the escapees a big margin. Androni Giocattoli's Fausto Masnada, part of the initial breakaway, attacked at the foot of the climb, taking Valerio Conti with him. The duo soon opened up an advantage. Masnada took maximum points on the King of the Mountains. And the pair dashed down to the finish line with Valerio Conti, the virtual leader of the race, chasing his pink jersey dream. Let's join the live with the duo in the final kilometre of the race. Masnada is going to continue to press on, and that's good news for Valerio Conti. Wants every second he can get. 7:43 back to the main peloton. They're out of it now. Primož Roglic is saying goodbye to his Maglia Rosa for a little while at any rate, and a little flick of the elbow, nervous one from Fausto Masnada, who wants Valerio Conti to lead this one out. Conti is going to press home his advantage, take as much as he possibly can all the way through and into the conclusion of this sixth stage of Giro d'Italia. The riders heading down to San Giovanni Rotondo after a long day in the saddle that began in Cassino almost 238 kilometers ago. Masnada it is who wants to own the
and take the stage success. Valerio Conti is going to be the one that is going to begin the ramp through to the finish line at almost 5 3/4 hours of bike racing. Valerio Conti in the white of UAE Team Emirates, in the company of Fausto Masnada from the Androni Giocattoli Sidermec squad. It's been a great day and a productive day for Italy. They've much to celebrate. They're going to bang the boards and welcome the riders home and into San Giovanni Rotondo as Valerio Conti begins the long winch up this finishing climb, and here comes Fausto Masnada. Fausto Masnada produces the attack and the sprint through to glory. Masnada looks over his shoulder. He won't be denied. He's made this attack. He's made this one work, and he is now a stage victor in Giro d'Italia. He points to the sky. The 25-year-old takes victory on stage 6. And blessing himself at the finish line, Valerio Conti is now heading into the Maglia Rosa. More jersey success to come as well from this, and it's going to be, well, a great day out for Italy.
Fausto Masnada claimed his first win in a Grand Tour ahead of his fellow countryman who seized the overall lead. All the main GC contenders followed, more than 7 minutes behind. Primož Roglič content to concede the pink jersey for the time being. But the spotlight was on Masnada, who confirmed his strength with a career best victory. There was more Italian celebration as Bardiani CSF's Giovanni Carboni, now second overall, took over the lead of the youth classification. So stage 6 gave us the first big change in the general classification as Valerio Conti became our new leader. What a day for Italy at the Giro, and what a day it was for Valerio Conti, his first ever day in pink. Welcome to L'Aquila, a proud city which suffered a devastating earthquake 10 years ago, a tragedy that has left an open wound among its community. But L'Aquila, the eagle, is rising again. Stage 7, 185 kilometres starting in Vasto, an undulating route once again with a Category 2 climb inside the last 50 kilometres and other uncategorised climbs to test the riders. The final kilometre peaks at 11%. It's a day open to many different possibilities. Another big loss for the Giro. UAE Team Emirates sprinter Fernando Gaviria abandoned the race due to knee problems. Following an initial failed attempt, a large breakaway group finally formed after 80 kilometres. It included Movistar's JJ Rojas, who was only 2 minutes down on the leader Valerio Conti. UAE Team Emirates chased hard all day to retain the jersey, allowing only a small gap for the break. It was a very intense and eventful day of racing. Primož Roglič lost a key teammate when Laurens de Plus was forced to retire. Meanwhile, the breakaway group started to fracture on the final climb. Let's join the action with only 6 riders remaining from the initial breakaway. Lucas Hamilton, Mattia Cataneo, JJ Rojas, Davide Formolo, Tony Galopan and Pello Bilbao were ready to fight for the stage win.
It's a really tough final kilometre, and no, I don't think they can afford to play with too much time. It's Bilbao that decides to go, and they all look across the road at him. Nice time. He has a little look over his shoulder. Why not? You've been given this opportunity.
Everyone tired. Everybody is struggling at this point. 1,300 metres to go, and Bilbao, well, he makes his move. And a little bit of cat and mouse by the riders behind. Fatigue within these riders will be absolutely huge.
Well, Pello Bilbao is crawling all over the bike, looking for a gear. He must feel like he's cycling through treacle, but it's a useful contribution, heading to the kite. And this final kilometre up to the finish line here in L'Aquila is at moments as much as 10%. It is a really, really tough and challenging finish for weary riders. It's been an all-action day out on the roads of Giro d'Italia. 185 kilometres and not an easy kilometre in there. As now we have Cataneo. Could he possibly make it 2 in a row? Formula looks to cover. Galopin right there. Hamilton grimaces, but is safely in the wheel. We've lost Rojas. He has made his bid. Not to be for him today. Bilbao with a narrow advantage as Cataneo looks around. I don't think he's got it. Cataneo looking for support. Formula playing a canny game. Galopin right there as well. Hamilton, has he recovered?
Well, Hamilton will need to recover. Certainly looking good at the moment for Tony Galopin. Bilbao is just hanging there at the moment. He will hope that there's more cat and mouse behind, but Davide Formolo is riding hard on the front of that group. Tony Galopin has not done a turn as yet, as Bilbao now goes inside the final 600 metres, and it levels off a little bit. They've gone through the steepest sections, but it is still a hard grind to the line.
Pello Bilbao, his day of days is coming for the man from Astana. Andre Zeitz delivered him into the final knockings, and he's in perfect and prime position. He's stomping on the pedals, the form is going, but he's hanging on to enough strength. And Davide Formolo is desperate and frantic to get on terms. The camera foreshortens the advantage of the Spaniard up front for the Astana squad. The Italian Davide Formolo tries to get on terms. They'll launch through to the line, but I think he's got enough. Out of the saddle, inside the final 300 metres. The flags wave to herald the arrival of the riders in Giro d'Italia, but I think Pello Bilbao could well have enough in hand. Formolo launches. He's making the final bid to get on terms, but surely not. Pello Bilbao needs to ride this one all the way through, but they're not going to get there. Bilbao has got enough in hand inside the final 75 metres to celebrate a glorious victory for he and for the Astana squad. It's victory in Giro d'Italia Stage 7 for Pello Bilbao. A match sprint going to Galopin for second position ahead of Davide Formolo, and then the exhausted remaining riders in the breakaway group led by Lucas Hamilton and by Matteo Cataneo. The rest of the riders will make their way slowly, surely and sorely through to the finish line, but the pain dispersed for Pello Bilbao because he has the glory on stage 7.
Pello Bilbao emerged victorious in L'Aquila, a first win for the Spaniard at the Giro following his 6th place overall last year. Valerio Conti successfully retained the pink jersey for another day at least. Rojas only managed to gain a minute and was now sitting in 2nd place. Time to celebrate for the Astana domestique, the Basque rider finally allowed to display his talent. So, another cold day in the Giro. Stage 8 from Torito Lido to Pizarro at 239 kilometres. It's the longest stage of this Giro d'Italia. An almost pan-flat first half, followed by an undulating final 100 kilometres with several small climbs and a long descent to the finish line. The sprinters needed to be wary of possible breakaway attempts to disrupt their plans, with GC teams likely to play it safe ahead of this second time trial. Marco Fraporte and Damiano Cima formed the day's move. The Italian duo enjoyed a certain freedom in the flat section, and Fraporte crested the first King of the Mountains of the day. But the effort for the duo would ultimately be in vain. The Androni Giocattoli rider was finally caught on the way up to the second King of the Mountains. Claudio Ciccone bridged across to make sure he was the one taking maximum points. The Italian climber went again and was soon joined by Francois Bidard and Louis Vervac. But when Lotto Soudal and Bora Hansgrohe hit the front, they too were reined in. Let's join the live action with the peloton all together on the final descent.
A couple more hairpins to negotiate on this, and then there is a very tight left-hander just inside 2 kilometres to go. And then after that, Two 90-degree right-handers. They head down towards the beach, through the kilometre to go, and then it's 90-degree right, and then 90-degree right up into the finish with 200 metres to go.
So now the gradient starts to ease, and Bob Jungels can breathe a sigh of relief. His job is done, and a solid job indeed. Under the kite, 3 kilometres remaining, so the GC riders know that their effort has been made, and they, I suspect, could well drop out of it. We've said that, we've seen Bob Jungels in a stage of the Giro d'Italia before set such a tempo that it was difficult. Oh, Viviani's in there! Viviani is in there, well spotted as Rob points at the screen, and Viviani is trying to make his way up. He's got teammates on the front. Pick out the national champion of Italy colours as we zoom in on the group from the front. A stall as the Teo Gegenhardt, I think, is trying to move up around the outside for Team Ineos, maybe just pinch a position. The GC times have been established at this moment as the Bora Hansgrohe squad try and keep their riders. Schwartzman it is on the front, and he's got Pascal Ackerman sitting third wheel, winding up for the finish. 2K to go.
Yep, it is Pascal Ackerman in third, and then in fourth, Caleb Ewan. He just looks down. Just behind him is Tom Dumoulin. Now Viviani moves up, straight up onto the wheel. He knows exactly where he needs to go, just alongside. To the right of him, it's Nizzolo from Dimension Data.
Androni Giocattoli have a rider there as well. Is it Belletti or perhaps Gavazzi who's found himself in prime position? As we pick up on the left-hand side, it is Elia Viviani who gets himself into prime position. Belletti is there for Androni Giocattoli. Schwartzman sets the tempo, and he spent so much time close to the front, has Pascal Ackerman. He's third wheel at the moment. He's got Caleb Ewan for company, immediately behind the red, white and blue colours of Groupama FDJ and Arnaud Demar. Right behind him, the Italian champions colours. More ammunition and more support troops for the Bora Hansgrohe squad.
It's David Formolo, I think, who's bringing himself up for Bora Hansgrohe.
Nippo Fantini have a rider that fancies this one too.
Fabio Sabatini for Deceuninck Quickstep is moving up. He will be looking out for Viviani, trying to drop him off in the best position. Let's not forget we've got a 90-degree corner into the home straight with 200 metres to go. Position is absolutely crucial.
Giacomo Nizzolo has never won a stage of the Giro d'Italia, but he's picked up the ideal lead out as there's a little bit of a swarm around the outside, and some of the riders Omen perhaps for the Sunweb squad is trying to come up and around. Is he trying to get involved in this sprint? Under the kite, with 1,000 metres remaining, Deceuninck Quickstep move to the front to try and take over from Bora Hansgrohe. Everybody wants to own it through the final right-hander. Well, this is the penultimate bend on this course. They've still got another right-hander to go. 700 metres remaining. A wide road will spread into a narrow one, and it's Deceuninck Quickstep that own it at the moment.
Yep, but Viviani is just a little way back. Ahead of him, he is on the wheel of Caleb Ewan, and then Ackerman. Nizzolo is moving up as well. Packed full of sprinters going into this final right-hander.
Seneschal on the front for the Deceuninck Quickstep squad. It's going to be a dive bomb down the inside. Looks like Ackerman is in prime position. Will Caleb Ewan try and go up the inside of Ackerman? He's not going to be able to do it. Through the final right-hander. Adjustments made on the front that can't have suited. Ackerman is going to get to go. With 200 metres remaining, Pascal Ackerman launches as Caleb Ewan tries to come round him. Viviani is there as well. Here comes Caleb Ewan. Caleb Ewan through to the line. Ewan gets the victory that Lotto Soudal so craved on the front all day, and the Australian Caleb Ewan has taken victory on stage 8. He ambushes Ackerman on the line, and Caleb Ewan delivers glory for Lotto Soudal and for Australia, and look what that means to the diminutive Australian. He is the winner of stage 8. A second career victory at the Giro for the Australian ahead of Viviani and Ackerman. Let's hear from the winner.
Determination, a very committed team, and we've been trying pretty much all 7 days now that we've been here, or 8 days now, and I'm just so happy to repay them with a win now.
There were no changes in the major classifications. This was our GC ahead of the pivotal time trial. A long-awaited victory for Caleb Ewan and his Lotto Soudal team. Day 9, enchanting San Marino, one of the world's oldest republics, welcomed the Giro once again. It was the final effort before the rest day and a moment of truth for the leading contenders. 34.8 kilometres of riding against the clock starting in Riccione. The flat opening 22 kilometres would suit the time trial specialists, but the 12.2 kilometre final climb with peaks of 11% was likely to provide opportunity for many. It would be a huge day for the battle in pink. Victor Campenerts produced an amazing effort. Despite a slow bike change, the Belgians set the benchmark time of 52 minutes and 3 seconds before the GC riders made their appearance. The rain started to come down hard. Local hero Vincenzo Nibali rides off the ramp in a date with destiny. Simon Yates also into action, as it was for the other Giro race favourite Primož Roglič. Yates gained time on Miguel Angel Lopez and Vincenzo Nibali at the first intermediate time check. It was a great start for Roglič, 16 seconds faster than Simon Yates. Nibali dug deep on the climb, but Roglič was absolutely flying out on course. Yates and Nibali respectively 40 and 50 seconds behind him at the second intermediate time check. The Mitchelton Scott rider was in damage limitation mode, as he was losing time to Nibali as well. And the last man in action, Valerio Conti, was engaged in an inspired bid to retain the pink jersey. Vincenzo Nibali crossed the line 54 seconds slower than the provisional leader, a good effort from the Italian. Meanwhile, Conti was giving it everything, while Simon Yates endured a trying day, finishing 3 minutes behind Campenerts, sustaining serious damage to his GC hopes. Valerio Conti lost just 27 seconds to Roglič at the first intermediate time check. Let's join the live action with the Slovenian flying on the way up to San Marino. Would Valerio Conti keep his jersey?
Davide Formolo, it's going to be a solid effort.
Oh, but
him.
look
at Roglič
has got that chase, he's got that carrot. 3 minutes on Davide Formolo.
A massive time coming up here from Primož Roglič, and Victor Campenert's going to be a very nervous man indeed, because I think he's going to get there. He's got more than a minute to get to the line from here for Primož Roglič. And he's coming through the final 400 meters. Will he be able to make it? Well, it's looking touch and go, but Primož Roglič, no doubt about it, it's going to be a massive gain on general classification for the man that is, among the GC riders, the best time trialist of the Giro d'Italia. The question is there going to be enough time for him to get to the line to take the victory from Victor Campenerts, who looks a little bit nervous? Is he resigned to his fate? I think this one could be up for Primož Roglič as the Slovenian rider charges to the line with twin objectives now. Trying to take as much time as he can, also looking for that success. It's going to be touch and go. The Slovenian sensation, Primož Roglič, inside the final few hundred meters, up and across the ramp, and with what? 20 seconds left, he's going to do it. Primož Roglič is going to take it, and I think this is the stage victory for Primož Roglič, the Slovenian. 11 seconds to the good. Roglič has eclipsed Victor Campenert's time, and with it also taken huge chunks out of his GC rivals. It is the expected imperious time trial performance from Primož Roglič.
1 minute and 5 on Vincenzo Nibali. That is incredible. 11 seconds on Victor Campenerts. We didn't see the shot of Campenerts' face. He's been sat in the hot seat for a few hours now. But he's gone. Swapped seats with Roglič, and he knows it. Look at that. He knew it. Here we go.
Well, disappointment for Victor Campenerts. It's been there so long, and I think he's going to end the day second. Somewhere in there is your overall race leader, Valerio Conti, on biblical conditions. In the most serene republic of San Marino. The conditions less than serene, are they? His progress has been solid. Look at that, 250. is the target time. He's got, he's got just over 2.5 minutes to get to the line from here. Should be okay. Valerio Conti has done what he needs to do, just needs to tap out the rhythm through these final moments, up through the final 400 meters. And for Valerio Conti, the battle continues, the dream continues, and the headlights silhouetting that pink jersey in the murk in San Marino, heading up to the castle. It's been a day for Ducks, grim in so many ways, but for Valerio Conti, a battle and a victory of sorts. Primož Roglic will take the stage honours, but Valerio Conti is going to drag weary bones up towards the line and gets the cheers of the local crowd. Valerio Conti gets the relief. He's got almost 2 minutes in hand. He's got a decent advantage still in the pink jersey competition. Valerio Conti remains the overall race leader of Giro d'Italia.
Primož Roglic dominated the time trial, taking stage honours by 11 seconds from Campanert and well ahead of the overall contenders.
It's perfect for today. I did a good job. Everything went out good. So yeah, of course, happy with the performance.
Were you anyhow disturbed by the rain? Was it slippery sometimes?
Yeah, it's true. I had rain from the beginning, but I take it quite easy from the start. Of course, really carefully on the corners, and yeah, try to go all out at the end.
More than 1 minute advantage over Nibali, more than 3 minutes over Yates and Lopez. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's. I can just say it's always nice to have some seconds of advantage, but still it's a really long race, and yeah, now first race day and then focusing on a new days.
Nons Peters was the new young jersey leader after a strong time trial from the Frenchman. Pascal Ackerman and Claudio Ciccone retained their points and climbers jerseys respectively into week 2. So Conti retains the overall lead, still almost 2 minutes ahead of Roglic, with Peters now 3rd and Rojas 4th. The other GC contenders have ground to make up. A day to remember for Valerio Conti. In biblical conditions, the Italian kept his pink jersey dream alive. It was a glorious opening day of the 102nd Giro d'Italia.
Come on, Primož, stay hero, stay small, on the back ring, come on!
This is going to be a sensational time from Primož Roglic.
Bam! Great job, great job!
But the rain soon joined in and looked like it would never leave. There were wet sprints.
Ackerman is not going to be denied. Pascal Ackerman gets the victory on stage 5, and he timed that to absolute perfection. Yeah! Pascal Ackerman is in its stunning and imperious form.
There were plenty of crashes.
Grande casino, Giro.
Some more unfortunate than others.
It's on another big, huge crash.
Big crash. A lot of riders down. That could be significant. Dumoulin is chasing.
And after 9 days, one unlikely hero emerged in pink in terrible weather conditions. So after the first rest day, Valerio Conti was our leader, but Primož Roglic was the best placed of the general classification riders. So to stage 10, and finally the sun showed up. The Giro resumed with a more relaxed day in the saddle, 145 kilometres from Ravenna to Modena, an entirely flat route across the Emilia-Romagna region with barely a speed bump in sight and an expected bunch sprint finale. The sprint favourites signed in and prepared to do battle. and it did not disappoint. The peloton took it easy all day, but things were about to change as the speed intensified in the closing stages. 3 kilometres left on stage 10 of Giro d'Italia. Conor Dunn rolls to the front. He's managed to drag Nibali in his wake. Well, he's sitting about 7th or 8th right of those white and light blue jerseys of Israel's Cycling Academy. Davide Nibali, 3 top 10 finishes. He wants that top position. CCC, well, they have the front. Is it Fran Ventoso, I think, who's setting a very, very fast, searing in tempo for Jakob Mareczko. He's wondering and waiting and wishing that, why not? Why not clip off and surprise them? The pace is not just on, and that would be a bit of a surprise. Well, that's put the cat among the pigeons. 2,500 metres to go. Why not just try it? On the front, Fran Ventoso goes for what would be an unexpected piece of glory, but can the other teams behind get organised? Long way to go.
Well, it is a long way to go, but he has put a little bit of pressure on them, and they've got that 90-degree right-hander coming up any moment, and here it is.
Well, he's not on the front of the peloton, still serves as a useful lead out. Fran Ventoso lights the blue touch paper. He's a great finisher on his day in his own right, is the veteran Spanish rider. A powerful submission here from Fran Ventoso. He's putting it up to the Lido squad, who are going to drag this one along to try and set up Caleb Ewan. Could it be a surprise win? We said it was a nailed-on certain sprint finish. Well, there's a little bit of the cobbles to come. We've got a little bit more of that with 450 metres remaining. Down to the final mile. We're into and closing in on the centre of Modena today and heading towards the stage finish on the outskirts of the town at the Park Enzo Ferrari. And it's, you know what, he's got a really good chance here. 1,500 metres to go.
He's riding away, isn't he? And the lead-out teams, they don't want to get exposed too early, and so they're looking around at each other to a certain extent. This has put an awful lot of pressure on the riders, but the one thing here, the issue for Ventoso, as we see his name finally come up on screen, it's a straight run into the finish, so he will be in sight all the way through this final kilometre.
He's tasted Prosecco in Giro finishes in the past. This would be the most glorious, in some ways the most unlikely. Why not go for it? CCC have looked for victory from Jakob Mareczko. They'll continue to try and place their sprinter into prime position, but ahead it's Fran Ventoso. The slightest of rises is a cruel thing. Inside a kilometre to go now, and the big gallopers are coming from behind.
Oh, crash!
Big crash, and they're down. It could be Mareczko, is it? Has Ackerman gone down as well? We've lost the Maglia Ciclamina, and others have been delayed. Bob Youngle's among them, and that I think could be Mareczko. Certainly it's a CCC rider. Now into the finish. Arnaud Démare in fine position. On the left-hand side of the picture, Caleb Ewan is in prime spot. Viviani has missed it. Declining Quickstep dragging him up and into prime position. Ventoso has been dragged back. Brave effort from the Spaniard. He's leaving it up to the sprinters now. Inside 400 metres to go. Démare on one side of the road. Is it Gibbons or Nitolo's going for it? We see Caleb Ewan sitting second wheel of the Lotto Soudal time. Here comes Caleb Ewan trying to pick up his final lead-out man, De Boist. Going for the line on the right-hand side of shot is Arnaud Démare. On the left, it is Caleb Ewan. Through the middle, Viviani wants it. Viviani's going for it. He's not going to get it. Arnaud Démare gets the win. Or was it Arnaud Démare? Huge success. Wonderful, glorious victory that's been coming for a long time, and Arnaud Démare of France, of Groupama FDJ, gets the victory on stage 10 of the Giro d'Italia. Arnaud Démare claimed his first win of the year ahead of Elia Viviani and Rudiger Selig. Hot favourite Pascal Ackerman hit the deck hard in the final kilometre, fortunately with no major injuries. As expected, there were no changes in any of the jersey classifications. Time for Démare to celebrate his first ever victory at the Giro d'Italia, his second on Italian soil after the 2016 Milan-San Remo. Day 11 and the 102nd Giro d'Italia landed in Novi Ligure. 221 kilometres starting in Carpi. Another pan-flat route with a final 3-kilometre long straight to the finish line. It's the last chance to shine for the fast men before the Alpine stages. There was sunshine at the sign-on. Damiano Cima, Marco Frapporti and Mirko Maestri broke away with relative ease. Meanwhile, behind the lead trio, the cyclamen jersey changed hands. Arnaud Démare took fourth at the intermediate sprint, while Rudi Selig inadvertently outsprinted Ackerman in a bid to prevent the Frenchman. A costly error for Bora Hansgrohe. Then the peloton upped the pace. And the leading trio had very little chance to succeed. We join the action with a Gruppo Compatto. 3,000 metres of racing. We're heading down into the big bunch gallop into Novi Ligure. It's the CCC squad on the front. Surely they can't control it all the way to the line from here.
Nope, this is an awful long way to go, and it is dead straight now in towards the finish. This final 2.7 kilometres to go, and Groupama FDJ looking good. Ackerman has got teammates with him just in behind, but this is a long way out for one lone lead-out man.
It's a big, big winch, isn't it, along this long straight into Novi Ligure for the CCC squad. Marechko sitting in second. Ackerman's still there, thereabouts. He's got two of his riders right in front of him. The Bora Hansgrohe squad have that purple jersey in prime position. Czerny hits the front. It's good news for the CCC squad. They've still got a long, long way to go to try and hang on to this one. Lotto Soudal now have two riders for Caleb Ewan, the small pocket rocket sprinter from Australia. A little bit of nudge left and right just to try and make some space for him as we pick up the replay of these riders trying to retain perfect and prime position.
Yep, just a little bit of a squeeze there for riders, but that's the thing that happens. You've got to have full concentration here. The Koenig Quick-Step very well positioned with Viviani in the wheels. Ackerman is just a little bit further back on the left-hand side of them, and behind them now, as Dimension Data start to put the moves in on the front, they are galloping up towards the front with their sprinter Nizzolo.
Giacomo Nizzolo, he's never taken a stage victory in Giro d'Italia. Can this be the day he wants to believe? So too does Elia Viviani. He's got a rider right on the front. Also sitting a little bit further back in the pocket is the Italian champion, as the little bit of a match race now between Dimension Data and between the Groupama FDJ squad. Nizzolo, Rencho's going to drop him off in a little while, and it's third man of these white jerseys, the blue shorts, is Arnaud Démare. Prime position, looking good. 1,400 metres to go.
Katusha moving up on the left-hand side of the shot as well. They're coming from a long way back, though. 1,400 metres to go, and Renshaw it is who has got the lead out here on the front. Very, very early for him.
Yeah, Nizzolo's dropped back out of that one. Doesn't want to hit the front with 1,100 metres to go. He's going to pick up Arnaud Démare, so it's a good wheel to get for Giacomo Nizzolo as Conor Dunn hits the front for Chimolai and the Israel Cycling Academy. We're heading under the kite inside 1,000 metres remaining for the Israel Cycling Academy squad. Groupama FDJ own it on the front for Démare, sitting in third place. Ackerman has Selig waiting to launch him. It's Kluge as well is in prime position for the Lotto Soudal team. Marechko's going to pick up off the Aussie rider as the Groupama FDJ team. The three riders on the front with their third man, Arnaud Démare, in prime position. Viviani's going to come with a late run. He's going to try and benefit from a lead out from Lotto Soudal. Ackerman looks nicely placed. 5th or 6th wheel at the moment. Has he recovered from that energy? 500 metres remaining now on stage 11 of the Giro d'Italia. It's Groupama FDJ that will get to launch first. Ackerman looks a perfectly and prime position for Selig to drop him off. Here comes Viviani. Sabatini desperate to try and lead him out, but Viviani's going to pick up off Caleb Ewan. The launch comes. Here comes Ackerman. Ackerman going to the line. Has he recovered? Caleb Ewan comes out off the wheel of the German. Caleb Ewan to the line. Caleb Ewan all the way to the line. Oh, stage 11 is going to go to the Aussie. He just holds off Arnaud Démare. Caleb Ewan gets the victory for Lotto Soudal. It's a double success for the Australian, for the Belgian team, and it's Caleb Ewan that gets the win into Novi Ligure. So a second win for Caleb Ewan ahead of Arnaud Démare. An impressive Pascal Ackerman finished in third position despite his crash the previous day. And on a high note, the Australian decided to make an early departure from the Giro ahead of the tough mountain stages. A final celebration for Ewan's third career success at Giro d'Italia. Elia Viviani would also depart after an unsuccessful Giro. Arnaud Démare sees the cyclamen jersey 11 points ahead of the German champion. Would Valerio Conti keep his precious pink jersey for much longer? Day 12, and beautiful Pinerolo awaited the peloton. Here in 1949, cycling legend Fausto Coppi made history, a fellow countryman and longtime rival Gino Bartali. The long-anticipated mountain stages were finally upon us. 158 kilometres of riding all across the Piedmont region. A hilly start before the brutish climb of Montoso. A 9-kilometre long challenge with 9.4% average gradient. It was the first real challenge for our GC contenders, and they were well aware of it. A large breakaway group formed in the early stages. The best GC placed rider was UAE Team Emirates Jan Polans, over 5 minutes behind his teammate Valerio Conti. The peloton were in control mode ahead of the main ascent. As expected, the lead group started to fracture on the Montoso climb, with many riders being dropped. In the favourites group, Astana's Miguel Angel Lopez stepped on the gas to bridge across to teammate Jan Hirt, taking with him the main GC riders. The leader, Valerio Conti, suffered with the fast pace and was distanced. Then it was Mikel Landa's turn to attack on the Montoso. Gianluca Brambilla, one of the few riders left from the initial escape, crested the categorised one king of the mountains to take the blue jersey, while Polans was going for pink. Movistar's Landa was soon joined by Miguel Angel Lopez. Cataldo and Montegudi rejoined the front of the race on the descent. Meanwhile, Lopez and Landa found help from teammates coming back from the early break. The group containing Primož Roglic, Vincenzo Nibali and Simon Yates trailed 30 seconds behind them. Let's join the action on the final kick before the finish line.
Inside 3 kilometres remaining for the riders up front. Nerves are jangling, this climb's approaching. And they're starting to shake it up a little bit on the front. I can tell you the attacks are starting to come.
And it's, is that Micah?
Benedetti maybe from the front of the race.
Sorry, Benedetti.
Yeah,
sorry.
Cesare Benedetti. Micah, of course, is in the group of favourites a little bit further back, but, well, they're trying to maintain a watching brief on so many different groups because this one is shattered and it's a fascinating bike race. And it's Cesare Benedetti fires first. Iris Kopecky is able to respond. Montegudi somehow finds the strength to respond. He's going to get up and on there. Here comes the next one from Brambilla. The next salvo fired into Pinerolo. Gianluca Brambilla. Iris Kopecky is on his tail. Just behind them, Cesare Benedetti. Behind Polans. Montegudi suffering a little bit. Benedetti is now distanced. Caruso looked so strong all day, is finding himself wilting a little bit. Dunbar also not quite able to follow. He's with Caruso, but it's Brambilla on the front. Kopecky taken for a little dance across to the spectators. These two Italian riders, well, Brambilla laying it all out. Kopecky looks strong, doesn't he? To Koenig Quickstep and Trek Segafredo.
Kopecky hasn't missed a move, has he, at this up to this point? Eddie Dunbar now.
Dunbar launches. He's just got to have a little final dig to get across this gap. A couple of 100 metres to try and make it. Meanwhile, Boaro tries to tow his teammates, Miguel Angel Lopez and the rest behind. Well, we've got Brambilla on the front. Brambilla goes for glory. Kopecky in his wake. Dunbar tries to cover and get across the gap. Inside 2 kilometres remaining now.
Well, we've got a couple of bends to come. They make this right-hander. They've got another right-hander to come, and then a 90-degree left-hander. They go through the 1K to go, and then there are a couple of bends, 2 90-degree rights in the final kilometre.
And he's made it a trio up front. Eddie Dunbar's got in there for Team Ineos. Gianluca Brambilla in second place. Iris Kopecky in the unloved position. 1,300 metres remaining. Will anyone else be able to get in there?
Kopecky, I would say, is the strongest on paper. Dunbar has made that effort, but he is saved. He has got everyone in sight. He can launch one and take them by surprise, but is anybody chasing? Dunbar looks over his shoulder. I'm wondering if someone's coming.
They're looking anxiously over their shoulders. Surely there's someone coming from behind, and they're desperate to get back up here. 3 from the initial 24 clear of the field inside the final 600 metres of stage 12. Here's Kopecky wants a contribution. Now the rest arrive, led by Benedetti. Who's going to launch? Kopecky goes first, followed by Brambilla. Dunbar in his wake. Kopecky with some daylight, and he's got this next turn to make with Cesare Benedetti, a useful finisher. Caruso's managed to make it in there as well. It's all about belief. Who wants this the most? Who's got the strength left after 158 tough kilometres? Kopecky is going to look as Brambilla goes, and Dunbar looks to cover it. Brambilla to the line. Is there any strength left in those legs? Benedetti comes. Cesare Benedetti to the line as they all start to roll over the top. Benedetti leads it out. Dunbar tries to get there in time. I don't think he's going to get there. It's Benedetti from Caruso and Dunbar. Cesare Benedetti survives and sprints to glory on stage 12 into Pinerolo. It's been a glorious success and a wonderfully entertaining, beautiful victory for Cesare Benedetti of Bora Hansgrohe, and he's got considerable interest in what's happening behind. Jan Palance is riding himself into the Maglia Rosa. It's been a beautiful day out for him. Throws the bike at the line, track sprint style, and we watch the clock as it counts from around about 28 seconds onwards.
Mikel Landa and Miguel Angel Lopez finished more than 7 minutes behind the winner, but 28 seconds ahead of the main GC group containing Nibali, Yates and Roglic. This was our final stage result. Cesare Benedetti ahead of Damiano Caruso and Eddie Dunbar. The Italian finally celebrated his well-deserved first professional victory with a perfectly timed sprint, and he could not have picked a better backdrop. Gianluca Brambilla took the King of the Mountains jersey from his teammate Ciccone. Meanwhile, EF Education first Hugh Carthy took control of the white jersey. In the new GC standings, Jan Palance moved into the overall lead. Primož Roglic sat in second place ahead of former leader Valerio Conti. Vincenzo Nibali lay fifth with a 1 minute and 44 second deficit to Roglic. Prosecco time for Jan Palance, but a huge task for the Slovenian rider ahead of the first summit finish of this Giro. Day 13, the first summit finish of the Giro, a day destined to have a big impact on the general classification. 196 kilometres from Pinerolo to Cerosole Reale, Colle d'Elise would warm up the rider's legs before the 9.4 kilometre long Pian del Lupo climb with average gradients of 8.7%. Then the final 20 kilometre long ascent to the finish line with the final 5 kilometres of the race at 9.2%. A really savage end to a brutal day in the saddle. The moment of truth for many has finally arrived. No place for hiding anymore. After a flurry of attacks, a big escape group containing GC contenders Zakarin and Mullema formed. Claudio Ciccone took the blue jersey from his teammate Brambilla by winning the Colle d'Elise King of the Mountains. Lotto Jumbo and Astana increased the pace to distance the pink jersey. A group of the main GC leaders formed shortly afterwards. Jan Palance was suffering. It was a mirror image on the second King of the Mountains. Ciccone secured his leadership of the classification by outsprinting Domenico Pozzovivo. The pink jersey chased hard and bridged across to the main GC group. Meanwhile, the breakaway group imploded on the last climb. And Mikel Landa attacked 16 kilometres from the finish line. Jan Palance was falling behind once again and fighting for survival. The Movistar rider soon opened a gap and bridged across to teammate Carretero. The group with Nibali, Roglic and Carapaz trailed behind. And when Carretero's job was done, Landa found help from Amador. Great teamwork from Movistar. Mitchelton Scott's captain Simon Yates was enduring a difficult day. Meanwhile, Vincenzo Nibali could rely on the excellent work of his teammate Pozzovivo, but was still losing time to Mikel Landa. Mollema, the best placed GC rider, led what was left of the initial breakaway. Nieve and Zakarin were with him, but the Russian had different plans and parted ways with the other two in the final 5 kilometres. Time to join the live action. Mikel Landa continues his battle with the climb. Vincenzo Nibali with Primož Roglic. How far behind are they? Well, it's an expanding amount of time. And now Primož Roglic finds himself on his own to try and chase down Mikel Landa. Sivakov just ahead of Roglic and Nibali. And these riders in 1s and 2s all over the climb. I tell you, that tells you the sort of bike race that they've had today.
All starting to spread out, isn't it? And well, this man here is on the back foot at the moment. Lopez, he's clawing his way back to them. Meanwhile, back at the front of the race, Zakarin and Nieve. He's going to have a go. He's going to have a go.
He rode off the side of the mountain there. Zakarin didn't even know he was there. And that was a sketchy moment, but he was, well, equal to that.
That could have been messy there.
There was time for just a little exchange of views. And immediately Zakarin goes right back around because he's less about stage honours, more about trying to gain time. He wants a measured effort, maximum effort through to the finish, whereas Mikel Nieve is thinking about a glorious stage victory in this Giro d'Italia. Another man who's had stage success in the past, he's been 3rd overall as well, is Mikel Landa. We'd almost written him off after the first 2 time trials, but now he finds himself at what, 1 minute 23 second lead over this man, Primož Roglic, and Vincenzo Nibali's going to watch him do it. Formolo has managed to recover and get back up there, and now we've got Miguel Angel Lopez just up and back, almost back with Nibali and Roglic. Could this be the winning attack? Ilnur Zakarin goes for glory once more, and Mikel Nieve is going to have to try and close it up to the Russian rider, who has measured out his effort inside, well inside the final 2 kilometres now. 1,800 metres doesn't sound like much, but this one is a cruel mountain because it has some of its steepest sectors right at the very top. And has Ilnur Zakarin saved enough? Well, Bauke Mollema is about to be overhauled by Mikel Landa. Mikel Landa has not wilted for a moment. His effort has been impressive, to say the least. We might have thought he was well out of this one. He's going to gain the way things are looking at the moment. 1 minute and 27 seconds he has on Roglic. Remember, start of the day at a remove of, well, I'll have a look and see if I can find out. He was 4 minutes and 24 seconds behind. So he needs all of this and a lot more. Well, he's won stages in the Tour de France in the past. He took a stage win back in the Giro d'Italia of 2015. Finished 3rd overall in the Vuelta. And he has been a top 5 finisher in the Giro d'Italia in the past. So Ilnur Zakarin, one of the top stage race riders on the world stage. And he is proving it today because he's stretching his lead into the closing stages over his nearest rival and the first chaser out there, Mikel Nieve. Meanwhile, Pavel Sivakov, his fellow countryman, continues to chase and continues to pile on the coal because Roglic and Nibali, I think, are looking at each other as much as they're looking at the road ahead.
Sivakov started the day 19th, 8:18 down, but he's riding himself up towards a top 10 position, doing himself no harm whatsoever in general classification.
Ilnur Zakarin through the final hairpins, winding his way through to the conclusion of 196 kilometres of painful endeavour on the roads from Pinerolo to Cerasole Reale. Lago Cerro, well, he can see the dam wall and the imposing sign ahead of him, so he knows that the end is almost in sight, and it's been worthwhile. Ilnur Zakarin rides it up to the line.
and he's going to continue all the way through to the line and beyond, because he wants to take the maximum advantage. He's going to ride for GC. He's going to ride it through to take stage honours today. No time to zip up the jersey and compose his victory salute. He's thinking about the battles to come. But for Ilnur Zakarin, this has been a beautiful and rewarding effort. It's a second stage success for the Russian in his Giro d'Italia career. Arms aloft at the end of 5 hours and 34 minutes of tough racing, and Ilnur Zakarin has taken victory on stage 13 of Giro d'Italia. Mikel Nieva not quite able to get there, but it's been a brave effort, and the Spaniard could well be, well, one of the lead riders from the Michelin Scott squad at the end of the day. The veteran, the Spaniard, has produced a decent effort, but nothing less than victory really would have sufficed for him.
Yep, just come up a little bit short there for Nieve. It was all about the stage win for him, but for Zakarin, yes, the stage win, important 10-second time bonus, but the general classification and trying to gain time on everybody else, as is this man here, Mikel Landa. What a ride by him. But he needs the time.
Yeah, and he's going to ride it time trial style all the way through and up over the bumps and the splashes and the puddles and the little bit of mud there. They've constructed a bit of tarmac here at the finish line for a nice smooth conclusion to what's been a bumpy ride up and down all afternoon. That's the way Landa likes it, and he has certainly arrived at the finish line ahead of the other GC favourites, with the obvious exception of Ilnur Zakarin. It's been a rewarding and productive ride for the Spaniard too. Former third place finisher in this event. Nibali and Roglic marked each other and finished 2:57 behind Zakarin. Jan Palance was 4:39 down and held on to his pink jersey. A great performance from Mikel Landa, who took considerable time back on the main GC contenders. The big loser of the day was Simon Yates, who trailed 5 minutes behind the winner. A memorable solo victory for Ilnur Zakarin, his second win at the Giro after dominating in the rain at Imola in 2015. Team Ineos's Pavel Sivakov became the new leader of the young rider classification. Claudio Ciccone was back in blue. So in the new overall standing, Mikel Landa was pretty much back in the game. Meanwhile, Simon Yates was almost out of contention. Chapeau to Jan Palance, who had earned another day in pink. Stage 14 and more climbing loomed. A relatively short day in the saddle, but definitely not an easy one. An intense 131-kilometre long ride from Saint-Vincent to Courmayeur at the foot of the magnificent Mont Blanc. 3 categorised climbs before the mighty San Carlo, a 10.3-kilometre ascent with average gradients of 9.9%, a pivotal moment of this 2019 race. Claudio Ciccone, part of the 8-man breakaway group formed after the initial flurry of attacks, was first over the first 2 climbs to increase his claim on the blue jersey. Bahrain Merida and Astana sent Caruso and Izagir up the road to bridge to the escapees for possible future attacks, while Movistar's Amador was already ahead. Lotto Jumbo were working hard for Roglic. And when the GC riders increased the pace, Palance could not keep up and found himself in trouble. The small group with Nibali, Roglic, Landa and Carapaz caught Ciccone, the last remaining breakaway rider. Then Richard Carapaz went for glory. Nibali chased him hard on the long descent. Primož Roglic also displayed his descending skills. Would the Ecuadorian be able to hold on? Carapaz out of the saddle once more. He's got so much to race for. Any chance he's racing into the jersey here? Look at that. 45 seconds more and he is going to be the Maglia Rosa of this race. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know.
Well, if it wasn't for Caruso, that might be more of a possibility, and well, might be a bonus for Roglic potentially to have Movistar take on the leader's role, but it's in the balance at the moment.
It's coming into the outskirts of Courmayeur, and then he's going to head up a little ramp. It's Yates that goes next. Try and take back some of the time he's leaked in those 2 time trials on the first 2 mountain stages. He's going to be given an opportunity. They've almost come to a standstill on the road.
Yep, and that's the thing for Carapaz and now Yates is their time trialing. They don't have to play cat and mouse. Meanwhile, further back here, there's a lot of egos involved, isn't there? A lot of discussion in the press the last couple of days, and well, it's playing out on the road here.
There's a cat and a mouse and a shark in there, and a few other animals as well. Yates is the old dog for the hard road. He's going to try and get to the line in the wake of this man. Carapaz out of the saddle. He has already got 1 stage victory, and he's only got 2.5 kilometers between himself and another one. This one, well, infinitely more valuable, you feel, in his bid for overall general classification. Now,
Caruso.
Well, he's got back up and on and straight to the front.
Incredible, absolutely nuts.
He probably thought, you know what, I can just coast through to the line from there, but may have got the word. He just saw that they'd stalled in front, immediately responded. What a domestic effort from Damiano Caruso, one of the top pros in the world in his own right. And Simon Yates has got a boost here because he's got the opportunity to race for his own interests, and you feel that he's at least as strong as Caruso.
Carapaz, look at that, 1:41 now to the white jersey group of Sivakov, who, well, that contains everybody else at the moment, Nibali, and more importantly for him, Primož Roglic.
Caruso trying to close down this man, Simon Yates. Caruso on the front of the group behind. What's the advantage? Well, it's not too big at the moment. Rafa Baika is going to follow in the wheels. Nibali next up. Landa, Roglic, Lopez, Dombrowski and Sivakov.
Well, Roglic has got to try and conserve as much as he can.
Look at this. It's down to 16 seconds. 10 seconds on the line as well.
Well,
you can be
Roglic he's got to score.
He's got to get a bonus.
He's got to get a bonus if he can, if he wants to retire, or if he wants to jump into the jersey.
Movistar could be moving into the lead of this bike race. Caruso has to try and do a job for Vincenzo Nibali because Richard Carapaz is a significant threat to Vincenzo Nibali's hopes and dreams of making it a 3rd Giro d'Italia overall victory. It's now 1 minute 28 seconds to Yates, and more significantly 1:44 for Carapaz, back to Primož Roglic. Yates is gaining time too. He'll start to believe that he's riding into a little bit of form and a little bit of strength in Giro d'Italia 2019. Through with less than 1,200 meters to go now, Richard Carapaz of Ecuador and of Movistar. His strength has not wilted for a moment since he raced out clear of the field within the closing moments of that penultimate climb of the day, the second and final of the Category 1 ascents on what has been a gripping day in every sense for the riders and indeed too for the spectators on stage 14 of Giro d'Italia. Under the kite, 1,000 meters remaining, another 5 seconds gained in the last kilometre.
And it's all uphill here to the finish. It's a grind, it's not steep. He's over the steepest section, but it is a maul up here to the finish. 900 meters to go now, and he's taking time.
Remember, Carapaz was 1:57 behind Roglic when he started the day. He's within 7, maybe 8 seconds of the overall race lead, with the bonus to come on the line too. Simon Yates fancies at least a 2nd place finish, and what an encouragement that would be for Mitchelton Scott and for the man from Berry. Carapaz through the hairpin, well, there you have it. There's only 8 seconds between himself and Roglic. Which one of those two is going to take that Maglia Rosa?
Well, there's going to be at least 6 seconds advantage for Carapaz on the line in much as time bonus, but Roglic will have to win the sprint for 3rd place ahead of everybody else.
Carapaz needs another 2 seconds gain. That's the reality of it. On the run to the line, he's going to ride this one through the line. There's not going to be much time for celebration on the run through on this drag strip up to the finish line here in Courmayeur today. Another famous win is coming for Richard Carapaz, for Team Movistar, for Ecuador and for the Giro d'Italia. Charlie Gall got the win back in 1959, the only other time that this race has visited this ski station, and now the The climber from Ecuador, Richard Carapaz, is racing to glory. In his wake is Simon Yates. And behind, Damiano Caruso is almost out on his wheels through and into the final few hundred meters. It's a welcome for the man from Ecuador as Carapaz charges up through to the line, through the little left-hander that takes him down a little sweep and into the finish line. Some relief from the gradient for Carapaz, out of the saddle and into the final meters. It's victory on stage 14 for Richard Carapaz, and now the stopwatch starts. It's 1:57, remember, but he's going to gain on bonus seconds at least 6 seconds on Primož Roglic. Simon Yates, he too is almost within the conclusion of his effort.
Incredible ride by Carapaz, but for the rest, it's all about the climb here to the finish, trying to gain as much time as possible. A valuable 6-second time bonus here for Yates, potentially important 6 seconds, but it's all about how quick he can cross the line now ahead of everybody else behind him.
1:51, I think, is our calculation. If Primož Roglic comes across the line in third place and more than 1 minute and 51 seconds behind Richard Carapaz, then he's not in the pink jersey. So Carapaz would be taking a first overall lead in Giro d'Italia, and that's always assuming that Roglic wins the sprint, which is not exactly a given. What about Caruso? He's doing a solid job, not so much for Roglic, but it does aid Roglic, but it's more about the effort that he's making for Vincenzo Nibali. Camera foreshortens the gap, but what about Simon Yates? Brave resistance, raced himself back into contention after being behind for so long today. And the man from Berry is going to take second place on stage 14. Mitchell and Scott have something to cheer for at last, and you know what? He's going to be thrilled about that. What's going to happen from behind as we focus our attention? Second across the line, 1 minute and 32 seconds in arrears. I think it's looking like a pink jersey, a maglia rosa for Richard Carapaz, as Nibali's going to come up and pinch these final bonus seconds. That's going to be significant. Micah wants to respond too. Roglic is nowhere there. He's not going to get the bonus seconds through to the line, and it is third for Vincenzo Nibali, and it is the maglia rosa for Richard Carapaz.
So, a second win for Richard Carapaz at this year's Giro. After his victory in Frascati, the Movistar rider produced a superb solo attack. Disappointment for Primož Roglic, who missed out on the pink jersey by 7 seconds. Once again, we had a new overall standing. His spectacular attack also allowed Richard Carapaz to move into the lead, profiting from the stalemate amongst the GC contenders. It was an historic first pink jersey for Ecuador, a day the man from El Carmelo would never forget. Stage 15, the last racing action to beautiful Lake Como ahead of the second and final rest day. 232 kilometres from Ivrea to Como, the final 100 kilometres of which is played out on the route of Il Lombardia, featuring the iconic Madonna del Ghisallo and Colma di Sormano, before the short and nasty Civiglio climb with gradients peaking at 14%. A monument race right in the middle of a Grand Tour. A possible day for the punchers, but also with chances to open valuable gaps in the general classification. Mattia Cattaneo and Dario Cataldo led the dance and soon built a considerable advantage. The peloton behind wasn't too bothered. The duo up front pushed hard. But behind, they were closing in. Hugh Carthy attacked on the last climb. And he was soon joined by fellow Briton Simon Yates. Let's join the live action. So you've got Pozzovivo for the Bahrain Merida squad and for Vincenzo Nibali, just setting the agenda on the front of this group. Formolo picks it up. The attack comes from Nibali. Here comes the shark. Immediately Carapaz is all over that one. Nibali goes, and he knows these roads, and he's been waiting and waiting and waiting. And Vincenzo Nibali has launched, to the great excitement of everybody in Italy right now, as Formolo tries to cover it, not able to. Primož Roglic, in standard form, is going to just try and squeeze his way back on.
Roglic there, and then Landa on the wheel, and then it looks like Micah in the wheel. Well, This is an important attack here, bearing in mind the descent to come. This is huge here from Vincenzo Nibali.
So Vincenzo Nibali launches to try and get across, perhaps to Simon Yates and Hugh Carthy further up, and still with an advantage of approaching 2 minutes are your two leaders. They've been out front all day. We're inside 10 kilometres remaining on this 15th stage of the Giro d'Italia, and now Vincenzo Nibali, for the first time, has put a little bit of distance between himself and Primož Roglic. There's got to be now about, what, 40, 50 metres between himself and Roglic. That's the first time they've been separated by that much in the entire Giro d'Italia. Carapaz, no apparent difficulty covering that one. The overall race leader in fine form.
Well, will Carapaz be happy to help out Vincenzo Nibali, bearing in mind that it will take him a little bit further away from his teammate Mikel Landa, or will he want to just sit on and try and neutralise anything here?
Well, what can Simon Yates do as they are now joined, Simon Yates joined by Vincenzo Nibali and Richard Carapaz. Hugh Carthy just a little bit further ahead as Landa launches. Landa has gone, and he too is putting a bit of distance and daylight between himself and Primož Roglic. Miguel Angel Lopez looks to go as well, and Davide Formolo is on a pretty good day as Formolo is dragging Landa back up onto the wheel of Yates, Nibali and Carapaz, and they're all over the roads.
Pozzovivo tries to ride up onto the wheel of Roglic. Where is Sivakov? Because that man there from Astana, Lopez, is riding away from Sivakov by the looks of it. 35 seconds, his disadvantage in the white leader's jersey.
Yeah, 5:30 down in overall general as well, so an opportunity for Miguel Angel Lopez to move up, but they're going to need a bit of distance between themselves and Roglic when they hit that descent, and quite a way to go before they get there. Here goes Nibali again. Vincenzo Nibali launches. Can Carapaz cover it this time? Yates is feeling the pinch a little bit, and Vincenzo Nibali launches within sight of the top of this final climb of stage 15 of Giro d'Italia. Carapaz immediately onto the wheel.
Well, they're putting the battle down here, and they know that Roglic is not on his own bike. How much of a disadvantage is that? Well, we'll find out, I'm sure, but the Yates tries to hang on as Roglic now goes with Lopez in the wheel. Pozzovivo's going to sit there. He's not going to do anything.
Carapaz is happy to ride. A little bit of a tap just to say I'm coming through and I'm the race leader. Nibali on his wheel, and Carapaz showing so much confidence here.
Yep, Carapaz is riding superbly well, isn't he? He's got such good form. Nibali in the wheel, but what a ride by Hugh Carthy. He's got the distance, and I think this is what he was hoping for. If it wasn't to go solo, at least bring a couple of riders with him, and well, a couple of decent descenders as Roglic now makes it over the top. He has got to calm down. He's got to be able to just use his descending skills. This is that, well, it's like a PlayStation, this, and so technical, this run into the finish.
Yeah, it's just a tiny ribbon of tarmac, isn't it, with the walls rising high on either side of the riders. You need to know these roads, and Vincenzo Nibali certainly does. He's been a winner on these roads on 2 occasions in the past, second last year, and Nibali inevitably comes to the front as they start this descent. Got a nice little match race now. They had 18 seconds between them going over the top of the climb. 18 seconds between Vincenzo Nibali, a superb descender, and between Primož Roglic behind, who's not on his own bike, but he's pretty good down a descent.
It's a slight headwind from here on into the finish. Will that help? Well, may do. It will favour the stronger riders, and at the moment, Carapaz and Vincenzo Nibali, they are so strong.
Cataldo from Catania showing still at almost a minute advantage. 5 and a bit kilometres to go. They're pretty much all downhill through to the line as we race down towards the lakefront here in Como. And Catania, and Carapaz, I should say, all the season, that they need to be ever mindful. A problem for Roglic. Roglic has hit some sort of difficulty. That could be key. Has he been off his bike? Primož Roglic gets back on, and he's on the wrong bike, and this is a crisis moment for Primož Roglic.
Well, incredible. Oh, and he just nearly tick clips there again.
Well, let's get a look at this again. He's off the bike against the arm cone. We saw what happened to Jan Bakelants in last year's Tour of Lombardy. And Roglic, well, he'll be relieved that he didn't fly off the side of the mountain there. Back on his bike, clips in as quick as he can. And Primož Roglic is a lucky man, still in this bike race, but now an expanded difference between himself and the others.
Well, he's losing time hand over fist now, and if there's a problem with that bike, he's got absolutely no chance of getting one from the team car, because that's going to be way behind him. He's going to to have to suck it and see and carry on this.
Showing at 21 seconds between himself and Vincenzo Nibali, who throws his bike off this mountain. He is flying, and he's putting a little bit of daylight between himself and Carapaz. He's broken the toe. He has got himself out of the slipstream, and that is good news for Vincenzo Nibali fans, because Carapaz is in a frantic effort to get back on terms. Behind him, Hugh Carthy too is also throwing it at these apex to try and get back on terms with the Shark of Messina. Is the man that has made this place his own. He's from the south, he's from Sicily, he's in the furthest northern part of Italy, but they love him in this part of the world, and they're cheering him on to glory today. Will it be stage honours one way or another? It's going to be a healthy gain, as he's looking at what now, 41 seconds to the good ahead of Primož Roglic, and now he's started to really eat into his deficit to the Slovenian rider.
Well, Carapaz it is who is chasing. Yates won't do much for him, and Hugh Carthy certainly won't aid this chase.
Carapaz showing himself to be a very, very strong overall leader of this bike race, and the way things are going, he's coming back up to Vincenzo Nibali. In actual fact, could be a bit of good news for Nibali, but at some stage he's got to try and find a way to get ahead of Carapaz and gain some time on him. So Vincenzo Nibali is joined by the other trio as Carapaz, Yates and Carthy get on terms. Bauke Mollema arrives up and onto the tail of Miguel Angel Lopez and Primož Roglic.
Well, that's good news for Bauke Mollema, keeping himself there now under the 1K to go. 24 seconds the advantage.
Catania looks anxiously behind. Cataldo too is also feeling the heat on the back of his neck. Down to 23 seconds with 1,000 meters remaining. This is going to be nerve-jangling stuff. Carapaz, Nibali, and they're going to go all the way to the line here. So too is Yates in his efforts to maybe get a stage victory. They're looking behind them. Surely they have enough in hand. No sign of anyone arriving from behind. There they are. There's the quartet chasing to try and put as much time as they possibly can into Roglic, showing it around about 41 seconds.
Well, surely the victory is going to go down to one of these two, and at the moment it's Catania who has got the advantage. He's sat in behind and he's freewheeling behind Cataldo.
34-year-old Dario Cataldo has the honour, such as it is, dubious indeed as it is, of leading this one out. Behind, Carapaz is riding it all the way to the line. Inside 300 metres to go for your lead duo, and they just have this final bend that will take them up the seafront to the finish line here in Como this afternoon. Hugh Carthy goes for glory. He's going to lead it out behind. Meanwhile, it's Cataldo that leads out for stage honours. Catania tries to come around him. Who's going to have the strength at the end of 232 kilometres? It's going to be Dario Cataldo. Dario Cataldo gets up to take stage 15 of Giro d'Italia, to the unbridled joy of the huge crowd here in Como, as Simon Yates races through behind and grabs up a few bonus seconds and a little bit of daylight between himself, Hugh Carthy, Carapaz and Nibali looking anxiously behind as we run the stopwatch to see what the gap is between Vincenzo Nibali's group, Richard Carapaz's group, and the group behind, which is not this one. Other riders have managed to steal a march on Primož Roglic behind as Miguel Angel Lopez races in to take the position behind. A little bit of time gained by him. Rafa Majka also well up. Time for celebrations from the Astana team. We'll look behind as Bauke Mollema tries to drag himself to the line to limit his losses, and by turn Primož Roglic will stop the watch as Mollema crosses the line, and that was a loss of around about 39 seconds. That's what we're looking at. So the stage result. Catania couldn't quite match Cataldo's sprint. It was a good third place for Simon Yates' morale. Let's hear from the winner now.
This morning I was just thinking I just had to go to the finish line. But at the beginning the legs were okay. I just tried one time following Catania and the legs were going well. And at that moment I said it will be difficult to go to the finish line, but step by step I was feeling okay. I was eating the right way, drinking, and at the end I was confident in myself, and it was an amazing final.
A great first Giro win for Dario Cataldo, a dream come true for the Italian. So into the last week of this 102nd Giro d'Italia, Trek Segafredo's Claudia Ciccone was pretty much in control of the King of the Mountains competition. Pavel Sivakov of Team Ineos was the best young rider, while Arnaud Démare retained the cyclamen jersey. positive day for Richard Carapaz, who increased his overall lead by 40 seconds on Primoz Roglic. Nibali sat in third, 1:47 behind. It's been a great end to week 2 for the Ecuadorian, a well-deserved rest day ahead of the mighty Dolomites to come. A fascinating week 2 at the Giro d'Italia with the usual crashes. And the big gallopers are coming from behind.
Oh, crash!
Big crash, and they're down.
Ackerman.
It could be Marechko, is it? Has Ackerman gone down as well? We've lost the Maglia Ciclamina. He's off the bike against the arm cone. We saw what happened to Jan Bakelants in last year's Tour of Lombardy. And the final sprints for a while. It is Caleb Ewan through the middle. Viviani wants it. Viviani's going for him. He's not going to get it. Arnaud Demar gets the win. Or was it Arnaud Demar? Huge success. And when the race hit the mountains, the Giro d'Italia finally took off. Could this be the winning attack? Ilnur Zakarin goes for glory once more. This has been a beautiful and rewarding effort. It's a second stage success for the Russian in his Giro d'Italia career. But one man took centre stage in the Alps.
Here is the attack.
Well, we knew it was coming, and this time it's Richard Carapaz who's decided to go for glory for Team Movistar. Carapaz continues to pile in the coal. Out of the saddle and into the final meters. It's victory on stage 14 for Richard Carapaz. So after 15 days of exciting racing, an Ecuadorian led the 102nd Giro d'Italia. Primoz Roglic and Vincenzo Nibali completed the provisional podium. Stage 16 marked the beginning of a brutal week of climbing. A revised route of 194 kilometres from Lovere to Ponte de Legno, the legendary Passo Gavia, the highest point of this year's Giro, was removed due to the risk of avalanche. The mighty and fearsome Mortirolo remained, a 12-kilometre long climb with average gradients of 10.9%, peaking at 18%. A day destined to shake up general classification, but in what manner? A large group of 21 riders broke away in the early kilometres of the race. Giulio Ciccone duly conquered the first 2 King of the Mountains of the day to increase his lead in the blue jersey competition. Movistar controlled the pace in the peloton. And when the escape group hit the Mortirolo, only 3 riders were left in front: Ciccone, Jan Hirt and Damiano Caruso. Behind, Vincenzo Nibali went on the offensive halfway through the climb and soon opened a gap. There was no movement from the pink jersey group. EF Education first Hugh Carthy joined Nibali up the road. Surprisingly, Primoz Roglic suffered with the fast pace and was distanced. Antonio Nibali dropped back to help his brother and dug deep. But it was in vain as they were reined in. Roglic and Yates trailed at over a minute to the main GC group. Ciccone picked up the 40 points on the Mortirolo KOM, taking his overall tally to 229 points. The pink jersey group pushed down the descent to distance Roglic. Hirt and Ciccone were left to fight for the stage win. Let's see how it panned out. That's a massive gap, isn't it? 1 minute and 30 seconds at the moment is the gap between the Richard Carapaz and Primoz Roglic. First and second overall. Big gain too for Vincenzo Nibali, going to move up into second place overall the way things are standing. And Primoz Roglic is going to have a lot of work to do in that time trial at the end of the week, always assuming he doesn't lose or gain time in the mountains between then, and that would be a very unreasonable assumption. Going to be a lot of racing still between now and the arrival of that Verona time trial.
all off the ramp, having been through over 3,400 kilometers of tough, hard road racing. And this is one of the toughest and hardest days. Still showing, it's holding steady, isn't it? 1 minute 30, just down 1 minute 29, but no gain lately from the Roglic Yates group. Caruso back in the front. What has he got left? Been out front all day.
He's been such a strong rider alongside Vincenzo Nibali. It's Caruso.
Joe Dombrowski with the jacket on for Hugh Carthy, or perhaps his own hopes and aims. There's the virtual standing as it currently stands. Nibali's going to move into second. Roglic's going to slip to third. Landa stay fourth, but gain on Roglic. And into the closing moments. They're under the kite. They have arrived down to Ponte di Legno after one of the toughest days of bike racing you're ever likely to see. The weather conditions have been choice, but the racing has been absolutely immense. And Giulio Ciccone on the front is going to have the honour of leading it out. Jan Hirt is hardly going to come around him unless he can come around him on the run to the line. Gives a little flick of the elbow. I think he's going to be taken for a merry dance from one side of the road to the other. Giulio Ciccone continues to try and get some warmth into those weary, tired and extremely cold limbs. Is there any strength left for a response in the finishing sprint as we wind ourselves down inside the final 600 metres? Catania has been distanced from that group, and I think Miguel Angel Lopez too was also lost a few meters, so it's all going on up front and riders are suffering, and I think they're suffering in the cold. Their limbs are just starting to seize up after what's been a really tough day out, but Lopez, you ride him off at your peril. Jan Hirt too. Forestana is going to sprint with his gilet on and going to lead it out. Giulio Ciccone, this is as tense as it gets. Almost a track sprint between these two fine climbers. Great road racers. It's been a great Giro d'Italia for both. It's going to come down to the last few hundred meters to decide who's going to get the sprint into Ponte di Legno. It's Giulio Ciccone looking anxiously over his shoulder. The Trek Segafredo man has Hirt shapes to go, and it's Hirt that makes Ciccone launch. Ciccone going to lead it out. Has Hirt managed to pull a fast one there? Ciccone's going to lead him out. Who's going to be the strongest in the run to the line? Giulio Ciccone draws it way clear. That's going to get the appreciation of the crowd here. Giulio Ciccone gets his stage victory at last for Trek Segafredo in Italy. Giulio Ciccone takes his second career stage win in Giro d'Italia.
Vincenzo Nibali and Richard Carapaz finished safely together. Roglic followed behind over a minute in arrears. This was our top 10 stage result, a well-deserved win for the Italian after the hard work in the breakaway group. An emotional Giulio Ciccone was able to celebrate his second Giro stage success 2 years after his first. Miguel Angel Lopez was back in the white jersey. So in the GC, Vincenzo Nibali moved up into second position, with Primož Roglic slipping into third. A strong defensive performance from Movistar and their leader Carapaz. Stage 17 and another day across beautiful Italy. 181 kilometres from Comezzatura to Anterselva, a medium mountain day with two categorised climbs before the demanding final ascent to the line. 5.5 kilometres until the Flamme Rouge with 8.5% average gradients. A good opportunity for the breakaway to succeed and a possible chance for the GC riders to rest their legs, or maybe not. The usual large breakaway formed, 18 riders clear in search of personal glory. They gained 7 minutes maximum advantage over the main peloton. After numerous failed attacks in the breakaway group, Nance Peters seized his moment and struck with 15 kilometres to go. None of his escape companions reacted and he opened a gap. Valerio Conti, Esteban Chavez and Chris Nylands jumped clear. But would they catch him? And would the GC riders mark each other on the final climb? Vincenzo Nibali just behind the overall race leader, Richard Carapaz, in about 6th position among that group.
Oh, look, it's absolutely decimated this group, split it.
Well, they said this stage wasn't going to be much for the GC fight. Not so sure there isn't an opportunity to gain a few seconds here or hereabouts, as Nils Peters up front continues to extend his advantage. It's superb work. Now Lopez is starting to drift back in the group. Has he lost the strength? Hurt drops off, and Lopez, is he going to be able to respond? Looks like he's trying enough. Hasn't got the legs.
Is it a mechanical or is it just his legs? It looks like it was just his form there.
Tries to have a little micro recovery. It's an opportunity for Landa to launch, and Landa goes clear. Mikel Landa is bid for the podium. He draws a few bike lengths clear. Who's going to respond to that one? Is that Hugh Carthy behind that wants to go next? Well, Hugh Carthy wants to come across, and Vincenzo Nibali is watching. Carapaz is not going to chase his teammate, but Primož Roglic is. Well, Primož Roglic in danger of being leapfrogged by Mikel Landa.
Well, 1:16 is the advantage for Roglic to Mikel Landa, so he's got a little bit of a buffer, but again, every opportunity that Movistar have, they seem to take it.
Well, what about this? It's good news for Mikel Landa that Hugh Carthy has been able to get involved here. He's not really a threat to Mikel Landa's position overall, as Landa tries to improve on his 5th place. Start of the day, 5 minutes behind his teammate Richard Carapaz, as we focus a little bit of attention once more on Nils Peters, who continues to extend his vantage. He's going to glory today. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Nils Peters continues to blossom on this long climb up to Anterselva. A little bit of a grippy conclusion, though. They sweep and plunge down and through a tunnel, and then there's a little ramp of a couple of 100 meters that is really going to draw the sting out of the legs, but he's got quite the advantage, and Chavez is dropping back into the clutches of the other chasers. Let's focus on the GC fight as Hugh Carthy attempts to draw Mikel Landa clear for his own reasons and his own hopes and glory of ambitions of glory, but it is Mikel Landa that's benefiting from this.
Well, this is certainly going to be frustrating for the riders further back here to see that Hugh Carthy is up there with Landa and giving him a helping hand with this. Landa looks over his shoulder.
Need to correct that. It was 3:15 now. 3:15 for Landa, down on his teammate Richard Carapaz. And he needs to find 1:06 to get to Roglic, as Nils Peters is within the final 600 meters. He's going to just head down and around. It sweeps and will plunge into the tunnel very shortly. He's within the final moments, and he's got plenty in hand as he sweeps around this turn and gives us a little preview of what we're going to see amongst the GC fighters. This is quite the little precipice downhill, and quite a technical finish indeed it is. Downhill through the tunnel, up this ramp, and you know what? It's almost not a hill at this point. Esteban Chavez has tried his best, but Nils Peters sticks his tongue out and races to glory for AG Tour Le Mondial, the 25-year-old from Grenoble, within a couple of turns of the most famous day of road race cycling. He's not going to believe it. He's got another visit to the podium coming up, and this is his finest moment as a pro bike rider. Nils Peters hears the cheers of the crowd and thrusts his arm in the air because he is the winner of stage 17 of Giro d'Italia. Nils Peters gets the glory, gets the victory, and gets that visit to the podium and gets a stage win for AG Tour Le Mondial, their first of the race. Meanwhile, behind, what's happening? Will Vincenzo Nibali be tempted to try a little late attack?
Well, 1:06. Mikel Landa has got to make up on Primož Roglic from 4th to 3rd to a podium position. Okay, we've still got the final time trial to come, but hey, a day at a time.
So Primož Roglic needs to try and respond here. Second across the line, Esteban Chavez. He'll be chased in turn by Chris Nylands, Fausto Masnada and Davide Formolo. Formolo looking to move up into the top 10 on general classification. Certainly going to be a move for him. There are bonus seconds on the line, and Formolo wants those, so it's going to be 4 seconds gained plus the time on the line. So we have a little look at the clock, but fundamentally we're thinking about the advantage for Mikel Landa, who's starting to suffer a little bit. Tanel Kangert from the early break.
winds it through for a nice top 10 finish behind. They're going to sprint for the minor positions on stage 17. Nils Peter's already preparing for his visit to the podium as Primož Roglic, well, he's not getting any assistance here. Vincenzo Nibali happy enough to watch Landa take this time out of Primož Roglic, but what about Vincenzo Nibali himself?
Well, he's got to be a little bit careful, and let's not forget the comments from Nibali over the past few days about people working or not, and most notably Primož Roglic.
Yes, indeed.
Not giving him a hand today.
Oh, Primož Roglic might have something to say about that. Thomas de Gendt, no stage victory, solid performance for him. Now we're seeing movement behind in the group. Where is the next attack going to come from? It's going to come from Miguel Angel Lopez. He's got Richard Carapaz welded to his back wheel. Nibali's not able to respond, neither too is Primož Roglic, so it's a gain here for Miguel Angel Lopez as Bauke Mollema tries to help and assist here, and Bauke Mollema is going to go to the front to try and close it down. The duo from CCC are through and across the line. Delaparte and Antunes have completed. Carapaz now is going to go to the front to try and, having distanced Bauke Mollema, but more particularly Vincenzo Nibali, and even more importantly Primož Roglic, Richard Carapaz is going to try and take advantage of this situation, put another nail in the coffin perhaps of Primož Roglic, who has work to do, as now at last we're seeing the attacks coming, but not from the expected source. It's Pozzovivo that goes, and he's trying to tow Vincenzo Nibali back up to Richard Carapaz.
Nibali is hurting. Nibali is on the rack here, I feel.
Yeah, we were expecting an attack from Vincenzo Nibali on Primož Roglic. Instead, it's an actual fact, a rearguard action from Vincenzo Nibali. So too from Primož Roglic, but it's looking good at the moment for the Movistar squad. They've got a gain coming for Mikel Landa, gain 2 for Richard Carapaz. Handful of seconds, it all counts. Here comes Mikel Landa through to the line. We're getting set to start the stopwatch as Richard Carapaz looks to put a little daylight between himself and Miguel Angel Lopez and harry and chase down his teammate. Carapaz in the charge from Pink. He's overhauled Hugh Carthy through and into the final turns. Mikel Landa out of the saddle, will ride it all the way to the line. Now we start the watch. What's the gain going to be? Through the final turn, and Richard Carapaz is not too far behind his teammate, so it's been a useful and solid hit out for the Movistar squad of the GC contenders. They finish 1-2. Hugh Carthy has finished his day as well, and across the line Mollema leads the group in, that includes Roglic. The gain has been, well, not enormous.
Around 18 seconds to that man there, Roglic.
Nils Peters wins ahead of Chavez and Davide Formolo. Third place propelled the Italian into the top 10 overall. It was a first professional win for Nils Peters. The French rider could hardly have achieved it in a more beautiful fashion. A solo breakaway attack in the Alps. There were small but relevant changes again in our GC. Richard Carapaz gained 7 seconds on Vincenzo Nibali, while Mikel Landa was now 19 seconds closer to the podium. The man in pink looked strong today, able to celebrate his birthday, but would he need to look for an enemy in his own team in the final stages? Day 18, the quiet before the storm. 222 kilometres from Val d'Ora to Santa Maria de Sala, the final 70 kilometres of which are completely flat. It was expected to be an easier day in the saddle after the fatigue of the Alps. A final chance for the fast men to shine, and critically important for the 2 men left in contention for the points classification. Groupama FDJ's Arnaud Demar and Bora Hansgrohe's Pascal Ackerman. Damiano Cima, Nico Denz and Mirko Maestri went away in the early kilometres. And the break suited the Groupama FDJ team, especially after Demar out-sprinted his German rival at the intermediate sprint, gaining 1 extra point over Ackerman. But then the peloton, led by Bora Hansgrohe and Israel Cycling Academy, increased the pace. Could the 3 brave men make it to the finish line?
33 seconds showing is the advantage. Is it as much as that? This is going to be so close. They're going to gain maybe 10 or more seconds in the sprint in the last 1,500 metres.
Yeah, with that lead out, and the trouble is now for Dens. He knows he's the strongest rider, but he didn't quite have enough to get the gap. He doesn't want to drag the others with him, but at the same time, he needs them. All three of them have got to work as a cohesive unit, and that is starting to fall apart now for them up front.
Katusha want to help. They've got Jente Beermans, who's a pretty useful sprinter. Maybe Marco Haller fancies this one today. Watch with interest as Nippo Vinifantini try to put riders into the mix as much to confuse things as anything else. And the Groupama FDJ squad starting to assemble close to the front because they've got to keep the man who's in the Maglia Ciclamina in prime position. And Arnaud Demar has for company Pascal Ackerman sitting on the back. Nico Dens goes to the front. 2 and a bit kilometres remaining. 31 seconds showing as the lead. It's still a great shot for these three riders out front, but they must ride it all the way to the line.
They've got to go all the way. They cannot afford to mess around now. More teams starting to get themselves up towards the front, but not on the front. That's the important bit.
Bora Hansgrohe with Adam Hansen of the Lotto Soudal squad ready to contribute as well. Nico Dens watching anxiously as the three riders all in unison. Chima goes to the front. Maestri drops to the back. Dens in the middle. Is this... well, is it Hansen? Yeah, it is Adam Hansen still continuing to ride. The Aussie, himself a stage winner back in 2013 of Giro d'Italia. Now he's trying to help his teammate Tosh van der Sande. The other teams will be grateful for that too.
Now they hit the headwind. It's not much, but it might be enough just to slow them down. The tiring legs, Nico Dens, he needs the help from the others, but how much will they commit? Because they know that Dens is the strongest rider, but is he the quickest in a sprint?
Yeah, who's the fast man here? Who's got legs for a sprint? Who believes at the end of the many thousands of kilometres of tough bike racing, at the end of 222 kilometres of bike racing, they have at this point done almost 221 of them. The kite beckons the finish line beyond it, and now Groupama FDJ are starting to chase. Is this an unusual play?
Well, I'm quite surprised about this, but maybe it's just the right. He's found himself on the front, so he just commits to it, but is it a little bit too early for them to go?
Well, maybe they believe these riders are going to stay out there. I'm not so sure it's nailed on. Certain they will. 18 seconds to the good as they approach the kite. Make it 17. It's coming down in chunks. That final sprint to the line is going to be quite the searingly intense sprint, and they wait. As we wait at the finish line, I'm just craning my neck to see out as the finish line is about to be arrived at by those riders. Inside the final kilometre, 800 metres remaining. Dens on the front, the Italians behind him. It's Maestri that freewheels, and nobody wants to take it up, and they can't afford to do this. They cannot afford to do this. They must ride it all the way, because look at the rate of the sprint behind as they wind up. Groupama FDJ, they're going for a dance around the road, and they can't do it. They want to time it to absolute perfection, but they're inside the final 500 metres now, and now it's the launch. Dens goes for glory. Can Maestri stay with him? Chima in his wake. He tries to get the gap. Maestri is fighting to stay in the wheel. Maestri is there waiting to launch. Dens it is who goes for the long one. He's fired first. Maestri goes. Chima on the opposite side of the road. They're going to be swamped as Demar comes from behind. Demar launches. Ackerman on the left, and it looks like they're going to be caught in the run to the line, or are they? Chima has the gap. Chima to the line. Damiano Chima! Oh, he just about hangs on. Damiano Chima gets the victory. He gets stage 18 of Giro d'Italia. The breakaway survived by the narrowest of margin. You will not see a more thrilling sprint finish. Damiano Chima, well, he looked all up. Absolutely shattered with about 30 kilometres to go, but he survived through to contest the sprint, and Damiano Chima of the Nippo Vinifantini team takes their first stage success of Giro d'Italia. What a dramatic finale. Damiano Chima claimed his first Grand Tour stage win ahead of Pascal Ackerman, who also took back the cyclamen jersey. A well-deserved reward for the Italian, who spent many kilometres in breakaways during the Giro. The German sprinter made the most of Groupama FDJ's work in the final kilometre and secured a jersey that had been slipping away. Stage 19, and the Giro was back in the Alps.
A short route of 151 kilometres from Treviso to San Martino di Castrozza. 2 categorised climbs along the way ahead of the final ascent, an 11.8 kilometre long climb with average gradients of 6.1% and a nasty sting in the tail. A profile that would favour the breakaway. It was a final chance for the men in search of glory. A 12-man escape group made an early assault. In the peloton, Movistar controlled the pace and seemed happy with the composition of the break. And the gap continued to increase. Then the breakaway group started to fracture on the final climb. Esteban Chavez attacked repeatedly. And he finally succeeded in dropping his breakaway companions with 3 kilometres to go. Let's join the live action.
Well, he's gone, hasn't he? Completely gone there. And, well, just look at the pace. Starting to grow and swell the group behind. So it looks like Bida and Seri, finally, they're heavier.
Oh, Lopez goes. Well, they were launching that one. Miguel Angel Lopez from 6th overall has landed for company. Nibali wants to do it. Carapaz is the heavy hitters. And Roglic is the one that, with the head cocked a little bit, he's trying to get back on terms with Richard Carapaz. I think he's just about going to make it, but, well, the signs and the signals maybe not quite so good there for Primož Roglic. Good news, though, for Miguel Angel Lopez. He's been given a little bit of daylight to see what he can do.
Well, as we said earlier on in the day, the team that would look to push more on this climb would be Astana, and then with the way they put themselves on the front to drive this, we haven't really seen their lead out, but it's set this man up here for taking time if he can.
Miguel Angel Lopez goes for glory. His fellow countryman from Mitchelton, Scott, is now clear of the rest and within 1,400 metres of a famous victory up to San Martino di Castrozza this afternoon, as they wait anxiously to see who is going to emerge through the final hairpins to glory. Is it going to be Francois Bidar, or will it be the man who is ahead of him right now? Coming up over 4 hours of bike racing, and it's almost complete for Esteban Chavez, as he can, I think, at this moment, prepare his victory speech. He's into the final moments. He's picked up the final cameras, and here you have it as Esteban Chavez makes his way into the final hairpins to the line. The pain and the suffering has been significant in recent moments, in recent years indeed, for Esteban Chavez, but victory could well be coming back again to the man who has already taken 2 stage successes in Giro d'Italia. He's already been a victor in Lombardia in 2016. He's won in Giro dell'Emilia, 2nd overall in Giro d'Italia as well. He loves racing in Italy, and why not? Because a 3rd stage success is coming the way of Esteban Chavez. He fought so valiantly for it 2 days ago, but had to give best to Nils Peters. But if at first you don't succeed, and Esteban Chavez has gone in the breakaway again today, and he's justified his favourite status by climbing up this final hill to San Martino di Castrozza in fine form. He's attacked again, covered everything, and now he can relax and finally enjoy the moment, because Esteban Chavez, well, is the victor of stage 19 of Giro d'Italia. Chavez gets the win, and you can see what that means to him. It's joy mixed with relief. And Vendrame, well, goes so close to a spectacular stage success. He gets up for 2nd on the day, ahead of Antunes. And what happened to Francois Bidar, as we see Carboni across the line as well. What a fine performance from him. Seri wilts, as indeed does Francois Bidar, and that's what Esteban Chavez did to them.
Absolutely decimated that group. Well, Bidar crosses the line.
Well, you would love to know what happened there. What a remarkable response from Vendrame. Misses out in the stage win, but you feel nothing was going to stop Esteban Chavez. Miguel Angel Lopez, well, coming up and into the finishing village, the finishing town.
Yep, no tactics for him. It's just a time trial. It's a straight time trial, as quick as you can from this point to the line, whereas for these riders here, it's just a little bit of tactical playing.
Well, the pace that's being set by Mikel Landa is not preventing others from getting involved. Looks like Pozzovivo has just moved up to take up the tempo. Could be useful for Vincenzo Nibali as Miguel Angel Lopez presses on towards the line to try and hammer home his advantage and take his... Oh, Roglic goes! Roglic goes! And that's going to put the cat among the pages. Nibali has to respond. Carapaz straight there. Landa all over his teammate just like that, and that was a surprise. Roglic looked like he might be suffering, but look at that for panic. Bauke Mollema tries to respond. A little bit of daylight for him to cover as the big Dutchman rides across and onto the tail of Mikel Landa. And Primož Roglic might be feeling a little bit better ahead of tomorrow's stage. It's not necessarily all done for the Jumbo-Visma man.
No, just a little test here, isn't it? As Mikel Nieve comes up around the outside. Yates doesn't quite follow him, but Bauke Mollema is there just alongside Landa, then Carapaz.
Well, Nieve will presumably be looking after Simon Yates. He finds his way blocked. Is there going to be a little bit of a skirmish for a few seconds?
Caruso now on the outside. 3 Bahrain Merida riders.
What's the gap going to be as he comes across the line? We bring Miguel Angel Lopez home. He's completed. 5:45 down on the stage winner, but how much of an advantage will he have on the group led by Pozzovivo into the closing stage as Roglic shapes to go again? They all want to try and take something of a gap. The bonus seconds are all gone. Carapaz is just there, and it doesn't have to have any difficulty in covering this attack from Primož Roglic. Vincenzo Nibali is right there as well. There's a little bit of daylight between himself and Mikel Landa. They're going to fight their way to a standstill here as Primož Roglic wants to try and limit the amount of time that Miguel Angel Lopez is taking. It's up over 30 seconds, I can tell you now. Still with 100 meters to the line as Primož Roglic is going to take the groom all the way up and over and home at a remove of 43 seconds. Make that 43.39, hand-timed by Rob Hales, who's got a pretty useful trigger finger. That was a pretty useful hit out too for Miguel Angel Lopez. Bit of time gained. Esteban Chavez made his return in style and secured an emotional win after a very difficult year.
Just happiness is like take out one really heavy weight in my back, and is the result for all this hard work in the last 2-3 years. And it's not just victory for me, it's also one victory for my team, for my family, for all the friends support me and be in my side in these couple of years.
A restorative victory for the smiling assassin. Esteban Chavez was back in business. Miguel Angel Lopez tightened his grip on the young jersey competition and gained some time, but there were no alterations in the GC as the main contenders came home together. Richard Carapaz retained the pink jersey ahead of the decisive and final day in the Alps. Day 20, the stage was finally set. The last big mountain stage and a day that could reshape the Giro. 194 kilometres from Feltre to Croce d'Aune. 4 major climbs to tackle with over 5,000 metres of elevation. Passo Mengen, with its altitude of over 2,000 metres, was the prestigious Cima Coppi after the removal of Passo Gavia. Then Passo Rolle to be negotiated before Croce d'Aune, an 11-kilometre long climb peaking at 16%. Monte Avena was the final ascent of this epic stage, 7 kilometres long, rising at 7%. A monumental day awaited the peloton and the GC favourites. The moment of truth had finally arrived, and it was the final chance to gain an advantage ahead of the final stage time trial. Fausto Masnada, the brave solo rider from the initial breakaway group, crested the Cima Coppi of this 102nd Giro d'Italia, also securing the intermediate sprint competition. Mission accomplished for the young Italian. The race exploded early on. Miguel Angel Lopez attacked from distance with almost 120 kilometres to go, taking Carapaz and Landa with him. Nibali and Roglic could not respond and were dropped. The Sicilian and the Slovenian quickly got back on thanks to supreme descending skills. The
the lead of the race changed again. A new group containing the King of the Mountains leader Giulio Ciccone formed in front. The status quo was maintained until Mikel Landa struck for podium glory. Meanwhile, Valentin Madouas was out in front of the breakaway. As expected, Nibali chased Landa hard on the short descent to the final climb. Carapaz followed, but Roglic was caught off guard. Disaster for Miguel Angel Lopez, who crashed after an altercation with a spectator. Let's join the live action on the last climb. Carapaz is so strong.
45 seconds to the chase group, so is that 45 seconds back to Primoz Roglic? I'm sure it must be.
Madouas is overhauled. Out front for so long. Still Bilbao, Nieve and Ciccone dare to dream, dare to believe, but they're about to be overhauled by Vincenzo Nibali, Richard Carapaz and Mikel Landa. First three riders from the early break. And here comes Peo Bilbao up here. Now he's got Miguel Angel Lopez behind. Has he not got the memo, or are they thinking about stage honours for the Astana team?
Stage honours, I think, by the looks of it. Bilbao will try and set himself up for that. He certainly won't be riding on the front.
Primoz Roglic now has to do his own work in pursuit of that lead group up front. Frustration for the Slovenian rider. Looked at imperious form through the first 9 days, and it all started to dwindle away in the power that... It's just that. Here's Carapaz on the front once again. 2.5 kilometres remaining. Surprised to see Carapaz there?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think he's just helping out with Mikel Landa. Again, he has that buffer, and he's just taking control, making sure that nobody goes on the offensive and just keep the pace high so the likes of Vincenzo Nibali cannot attack. Just that hand, a push through, just to let Landa know that he is there.
Oh, display of strength, isn't it? Landa straight, it's Movistar 1-2. Miguel Angel Lopez, what can he do about limiting his difficulties? That was Kangert indeed. He's on the back of this group. Madouas is there as well. Nieve, Bilbao, Landa sitting fourth in line. Ciccone in the blue jersey tries to get up and in amongst them. It's Carapaz on the front. That pink jersey is the overall race leader of this bike race as Ciccone goes for stage glory. Well, he's following Kangert in that effort. That tells you that everybody is pretty much out on their wheels, but some believe that stage success could go their way, and Tanel Kangert is going for an improbable.
Yep, Kangert and Ciccone, it's all about the stage for them. For the rest of the riders in this group, or certainly the next three, Carapaz, Landa and Nibali, it's all about general classification. But along with the stage win, those time bonuses that you've mentioned, all important, so much to play for all of these riders in this group. Nibali, now he goes, he launches.
Here he comes, is this the last one? 1,800 metres remaining for Il Squalo de Messina as... Well, Landa tries to cover that one and does without any difficulty. He's right there, so too is Ciccone, and so too, way more importantly, is Richard Carapaz. He's equal to that effort. It served only to distance the riders from the early break. Ciccone and Bilbao survived from that, but now it's Nibali that wants to press on and press home his advantage over Primoz Roglic. Is there another final sting in the tail? Is there another final bite from the shark?
Well, he said he was going to go down with a fight.
He certainly has attacked.
That was a Syrian attack, but just not long enough. And has he got anything left? Has anybody got anything left? Every man out there now is on their knees.
Roglic, jaw set, elbows bent, shoulders hunched. Miguel Angel Lopez alone on the mountain. Has been off his bike. There'll be recriminations after that. That spectator just spoiling the opportunity for the Colombian rider. Richard Carapaz sets his jaw, sets himself to the task of drawing clear. Now 41 seconds clear of Primoz Roglic, going up again. 128 back to Lopez. Madouas, Kangert, Nieve and the rest try to hang on in the wake of what has been an awesome display from the Ecuadorian. Such a display of strength and ability. At the outset of this Giro d'Italia, he was an outsider at best.
not mentioned among the hot favourites. Well, that's changed in recent days, and he's still got a shot at a third stage success of the race. Mikel Landa, 2 dreams of a 4th stage victory, and Vincenzo Nibali, could it be an 8th win in Giro d'Italia? It would be at best a consolation prize, and I think the podium is the best that 34-year-old Vincenzo Nibali can hope for as we're inside the final 700 metres. Ciccone also dreams of a 2nd stage victory of the race. So too, Pello Bilbao. Mikel Nieve tries to salvage another stage success. It'll be a 2nd one in succession for the Mitchell and Scott team. And EF Education first. What would it mean to them if Channel Kanga could get up for the stage victory today? But inside the final 600 metres, he's going to take it all the way to the line.
He is. I'm quite surprised that Mikel Landa hasn't come through on him and given him his turn. Maybe he can't, but Carapaz happy and confident enough to take this up on the front. Bilbao trying to set himself up, keep himself in position because he wants a stage win. Ciccone, he wants a 2nd stage win from a few days ago. But Vincenzo Nibali, he would dearly love a stage win and an important time bonus of 10 seconds.
Well, running into the final few hundred metres, it is the overall race leader, Richard Carapaz, that is going to take them up and through to the line. Will Mikel Landa have an opportunity to take stage honours and with it the 10-second bonus? Vincenzo Nibali is a fine sprinter as they all start to get set for the final sprint. Carapaz not thinking about that. He's going to try and ride it up and maximise his advantage. It's Landa that goes first. Landa goes first for stage honours for the glorious Pello Bilbao. Tries to take a 2nd stage victory of this year's Giro d'Italia. It's going to be between Landa and Bilbao. To the line, 2 Spaniards from rival teams. And Landa's going to have to give best to Pello Bilbao. Pello Bilbao gets up to take it for the Astana team. Bilbao ahead of Mikel Landa. And he's going to get his arms in the air for the 2nd time ahead of Landa. Giulio Ciccone in 3rd. Carapaz dips his head. But what a great stage it's been for Carapaz in the defence of his overall lead of the Giro d'Italia. He has surely secured overall success with that.
Roglic, almost a minute behind, slipped 1 place to 4th overall. Miguel Angel Lopez lost time, but kept his 6th place and the white jersey. Pello Bilbao won the Queen stage of this 102nd Giro and claimed his 2nd win after L'Aquila. Mikel Landa had to settle for 2nd despite his huge effort in the final kilometre. A great Giro d'Italia for Bilbao, who came here as a domestique for Lopez but will leave a double stage winner. Richard Carapaz took a huge step towards an historic victory. This was our GC with 1 stage left. The Ecuadorian looked secure with almost 2 minutes advantage over Vincenzo Nibali and 3 to his teammate Landa. Would this gap allow Carapaz to emerge victorious at the end of the time trial? Verona, the romantic hometown of Romeo and Juliet, was the setting for the final stage of this exciting 102nd Giro d'Italia. A 17-kilometre battle against the clock would crown our 2019 winner. A mainly flat route all across the city with just one 4.3-kilometre long climb at 4.8% and a finish in the beautiful Roman amphitheatre. All set for the final showdown. Sunweb's Chad Haga set the best time ahead of Victor Campenerz and Thomas de Gent. Our benchmark was 22 minutes and 7 seconds. Pavel Sivakov and Miguel Angel Lopez battled for the white jersey. Just 22 seconds apart, Primož Roglic and Mikel Landa raced for a place on the podium. Would Italian hero Vincenzo Nibali be able to upset Richard Carapaz? Landa was 20 seconds behind Roglic at the intermediate split. Primož Roglic was 26 seconds behind Chad Haga. And Richard Carapaz was 33 seconds down on Vincenzo Nibali at the split. Mikel Landa's effort was good, but not good enough. He missed out on the podium to Roglic. Let's join the final 2 riders on course in this year's Giro d'Italia.
He's under the guide now, so it's not quite the... he's not going to get there, so Chad Haga can start to breathe a sigh of relief because Richard Carapaz is quite a bit slower than Vincenzo Nibali. Victory is certainly going to Chad Haga now as we focus on Vincenzo Nibali and his efforts to put a little bit of daylight between himself and Primož Roglic, and more importantly, just get a little bit closer to Richard Carapaz and make it as tough as possible. He's starting to understand that something that he's been hoping and dreaming for so many years is starting to become reality. It is the most extraordinary achievement, and Chad Haga understands now that he is a winner of the final stage of Giro d'Italia, a World Tour, Grand Tour. Success is coming the way of the American. Meanwhile, Vincenzo Nibali, the Shark of Messina, he came to Giro 2019 believing that he could challenge for a 5th victory in Grand Tours. It's not going to be a 3rd success in the Corsa Rossa, but for Vincenzo Nibali, it's a decent hit out on the final stage, and he gets the cheers of an appreciative crowd. A top 10 performance, faster indeed than that of Primož Roglic. Put some daylight into himself and Roglic, just 3 seconds faster. I think that's showing and demonstrating the way that fortunes had ebbed and the strength had dropped away from Primož Roglic in the final stages. Time to raise a weary arm aloft for Vincenzo Nibali as he races into the stadium, into the arena, to accept the plaudits of his crowd, but he's not going to get to lift that trophy. Well, Chad Haga can hardly believe it. How many years and how many training miles has he dared to believe that this could possibly be an opportunity? I'm sure he's an entirely grounded human being who understands what a tough sport this is, but every now and then there's an opportunity for everyone to have his day. Richard Carapaz all over that bike, and doesn't go to the skis too often, does he? But he's got so much in hand, it's probably a reasonable policy.
Just got to get himself around these final bends now. Not leak too much time, but not overcook it. Just get round, back on the power. 3.5 minutes in hand.
Well, Vincenzo Nibali finished in 22 minutes and 53 seconds. So that would be, what, about... well, there you go. He's got 3 minutes and 14 seconds to get to the line. I was trying to work it out, but it's easier to watch on screen, isn't it? 3 minutes from here, with 1,700 meters remaining. Well, he's going to ride it through and all the way to the line. Pink suit, pink helmet, pink time trial bike. Got a little bit of respray the other day, hasn't it? And the Ecuador flags flying in the breeze. They can start to celebrate because this wonderful performance from Richard Carapaz that includes 2 stage victories along the way for the Ecuadorian. We hardly realized when he sprinted up the hill with that late ambush into Frascati that this was going to be the foundation for an overall victory in Giro d'Italia. Now the final rider out on the course is on his victory lap in Verona, and Richard Carapaz within 1,200 meters of a famous success for Ecuador. Carapaz is going to ride this one all the way up. 2 stage victories for him across this race. Up to Courmayeur, he took what would ultimately prove to be a race-winning advantage as Vincenzo Nibali and Primož Roglic looked at each other, not understanding, unwilling or unable to do anything about the progress of this rider from Ecuador who has been in imperious form and never once has looked like wilting. And all the attacks that have been thrown at him in recent days, Richard Carapaz has been able to cover each one without any difficulty whatsoever. He's been right there with them, welded to their back wheel, within a bike length, no more than a bike length between them, and now Richard Carapaz can start to believe. He needs to take it as sensibly as possible, but the adrenaline will be flowing because now finally he can be released from the shackles and charge to the line. For Richard Carapaz, just 1 bend between himself and a famous win. Into the final few hundred meters, he's got 1.25 minutes in hand, and now all of Ecuador can celebrate because the 102nd Giro d'Italia goes to Richard Carapaz. Finally, his arm is clenched in victory. The Maglia Rossa goes to Richard Carapaz of the Movistar squad. He has delivered across 3 tough weeks, over 3,500 kilometres of racing, and there has been no one to deny him. He has been absolutely pitch perfect throughout. His final time trial, almost a victory lap, and now he can tour and coast down this pink carpet to collect this trophy. The Senza Fino awaits.
So, a first World Tour win for Chad Haga. What an end to the Giro d'Italia for the American. Let's hear from the Texan.
I thought of my dad and my wife. I thought Roglic must be tired. I had to believe that Roglic was tired, and as I don't even know what.
Yeah, this is your first World Tour win. Did you start this morning thinking that it could be your first World Tour win today?
I did. The way my legs felt yesterday, I fully believed that I could win today. I just had to do it, and I was right.
So after 3 weeks of wonderful racing, Richard Carapaz emerged victorious in the 102nd Giro d'Italia. Vincenzo Nibali and Primož Roglic completed the podium, with Landa slipping to 4th.
It's been the toughest TT of my life. I have suffered from the start to the finish, into the arena, and this is the biggest sporting achievement of my career. I have no words to describe it.
Miguel Angel Lopez was once again the best young rider after winning the white jersey for a 2nd consecutive year. Claudio Ciccone was confirmed as the King of the Mountains, having dominated the competition since the early days. German champion Pascal Ackerman won the points classification after divesting Arnaud Démare of the Cyclamen jersey and surviving the challenging mountain days in the Alps. Richard Carapaz made cycling history as, for the first time, an Ecuadorian triumphed in pink. Congratulations, campeón!